Oh, I need to get rid of. There we
And
Oh, it was.
refresh the browser. We're no longer hosting anyone. We should be live. Good afternoon and welcome to the Green Grape Sessions. Good evening. Welcome to the Green Grape Sessions podcast on the 29th of the 11th, 2020. We are doing the GGS Podcast. And today, hello, Balasera. We are joined by Balasera, the crazy bee lady
Hello.
herself. Neb is here,
go. Hello.
and we are joined by our special guest to this evening, Miss Harsha Kansara, or Tia. Hello, Tia. Yes, one of my longest friends that I still have a lot of fun chatting with. Most of them I've just thrown away, but that one I've kept.
I got pulled out of the trash.
Yeah. Yeah, she was the only one that I liked. The others we just pushed over a cliff. It's fine. Yes, so little introduction from each of you. Neb, you stream on Twitch.
I do indeed.
Yeah, introduce yourself. Tell us what you stream. Tell us what you do.
Well, of recent have only started streaming again after taking probably 3 month break. But I've been back playing World of Warcraft the last few days. I've been doing probably 2 streams a day, but they're only 2 hours each. I do play a variety of everything though.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Cool.
Other than that, I'm just getting on with things.
Cool. Glad to see you're back and about.
You're
Glad to see
getting
you
there.
back and
Getting
about.
there.
Okay, Mr. Balasera, our Portuguese brother. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well.
And
Thank you.
how is university going? Balasera is the baby of the group, by the way. Just anyone who doesn't know. He's only a baby. He's only a baby.
I'm a baby.
He's a
I'm
baby.
a baby.
Yeah. So, Frankie Balasera Sinatra, introduce yourself and let us know what you've been doing.
My name is Balasera. Go as Frankie for a reason that I don't remember. Uh, I'm 19 years old, going for university, which is going very well at the moment. And I used to stream on Twitch, taking a break because of university as well. And lately, just been studying studying to university, talking to people such as Eli, Nitty, going to watch streams whenever I can.
Okay. Nitty, although I'm sure you need no introduction as the crazy tea lady.
The crazy tea bee lady. I don't stream, but I moderate chat. And I am a big advocate on mental health, animal welfare, and looking after the environment.
Okay. And of course, Miss Harsha Kansara, aka Tia. My dear, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us just a little bit about your incredibly varied and wild history.
So I run a company called Replenish Earth. It's all about getting to ecological alignment in businesses, a variety of different organizations transitioning away from fossil fuels. And I've been running that for now 5 years. Older than that is an architectural practice that I now run called Kansara Hackney Limited, which is the first community architecture business in the world. Effectively taking it over from my business partner Rod Hackney, who created incredible projects of bringing architectural aid into inner city UK, and then that sort of went global. So these are the two hats, architectural and environmental, that I wear.
Cool. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know that you are incredibly busy because I know how
I
hard
am
it is
so
to get you
excited
just
about it.
for a
I'm just really
chat.
so happy, so happy.
But just before we carry on, thank you, Panda, and thank you, Laka, for the cheer. That's crazy. Thank you, Panda, for dropping by and saying hi. It's glad to see you here. Glad to see you here as well, Laka. You guys are awesome, and very much appreciate your company tonight. Right. Well, I don't need to introduce myself because there's not much to say. I'm just me. Anyway,
LittleBeeLight.
we.
Actually, you technically do because you're the devil's advocate.
Yeah, I'm devil's advocate. I always play devil's advocate on the GGS. I do not take a particular side. And if a conversation is leaning one way or the other, I tend to take the opposite side to push it
Just
that
for
way as
fun.
well. Plus, it's a lot of fun to play the villain. And let's face it, I am the villain. But anywho, talking about villains, we have to start with a sad rest in peace David Prowse, aka the body of Darth Vader. He passed away on the 28th, passed away yesterday. He was 85, I believe.
Not a bad age.
Not a bad age to go. Not a bad age.
Was it COVID?
Not a bad.
Not sure what it was. They haven't said what caused him to pass away. But he wasn't just Darth Vader. He was also the Green Cross Code Man that me, Niddy, and Tia would maybe remember from videos when we were small chidlers. He was also the Green Cross Code Man, which...
I remember. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, the Green Cross Code Man.
Wow.
And
Rest in
look
peace.
both ways before crossing the road. Okay.
His voice definitely made you
Famous.
remember that.
He was when he played Darth Vader, he was 6'7" and
Gee.
weighed 19 stone.
It's a shy.
Hello, Shy. Welcome to the stream, Shy. You are Panda and Laka and Shy. You are welcome to come and join us and join the panel and chat if you wish. Now, of course, he didn't voice Darth Vader because George Lucas decided that having a West Country accent might not be the best idea for Darth Vader, and that everyone might end up calling him Farmer Vader or Darth Farmer, which they didn't like. So they decided against that, which is a shame.
Darth Farmer.
I mean, it would have been a lot of fun. Luke, I am your father. Would have been rather interesting. There's, it's. I can understand why it was done. I mean, it was a movie made for an American audience. Let's face it. They really didn't care about anyone else when they were making movies.
Well, it's we were just talking about it earlier. It would. Can you imagine a West Country Patrick Stewart doing the Locutus of Borg?
I am Locutus Borg. How are you doing? Yeah, we just wouldn't have. Yeah, resistance is futile. Come join Borg. So he had to put on the Shakespearean English. I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. But yeah, it would have. It was a shame that Lucas didn't tell him that that's what was going to happen, because of course he was never told right up until they released the actual movie, and he went along to the red carpet event and he was all, "Oh, brilliant! Look, it's my scene. I'm coming on now. Oh, you're going to get to see me playing Darth Vader. Oh, this is going to be great." And then it was James Earl Jones. "Hello, I am Darth Vader." It's like, that's not me.
Iconic voice, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, James Earl Jones is definitely the voice of Darth Vader, but in terms of the physical presence, in terms of someone standing there going, "I am Darth Vader," like, it is only
Big dude.
David Prowse.
Big dude.
big dude, imposing, stood above everyone else around him. But
6'7" is quite a height.
yeah, it's quite a height. It's quite a height. And he was a bodybuilder, so he was not a small big guy. You know, he was a big guy. You know, so yes, he had a little falling out with George Lucas later in life, brought on by various things, including he basically got nothing for those Star Wars movies. All his money was earned through autograph signings.
Jeez.
And George Lucas banned him from the Star Wars conventions, so he didn't even get that in his later life. So
That's really sad.
Wow.
yeah,
It's a bit of a shit deal, isn't it?
well, it was. I mean, it was movies at the time. I mean, Harrison Ford didn't get much for his role in Star Wars. None of the actors really got a lot for it. They, you know, most of it was guest appearances and autograph signings and things like that.
It's really fascinating because we never think about it that way. We think about all of these actors and you know, members of the celebrity as people who, you know, don't have to hustle, but the hustle seems
The
like it's
hustle is
even
real.
stronger.
Yeah, well, it was then. It's less so now because celebrities are a little bit more clued in to how much money can be made. I mean, for a classic example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
He makes so much money from the monetization of Fast and the Furious. You know, the Fast and the Furious merchandise, the imagery, all of that sort of stuff he's tied into. Jack Nicholson was such a genius with the Batman movie because he made sure to tie in with how much money the movie was going to make. You know, so if the movie did badly, he got paid very little. If the movie did well, he got a lot of money. And of course, it did well, so he got a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
You know. Hello, Operator Death. Yes, I must posture check, and everyone else posture check. Make sure you're not slouching, and hydrate and stretch. And Mr. Scottish Demon. Hello.
Oh, that's a bit better actually.
We have a wonderful
Thanks for the
community
reminder.
here on Twitch. They're always looking out for us. Nitty says, use them legs. So, excuse me, I just have to stand up for a moment. Make sure I've got legs. I do. Look, legs. See, legs. Okay, that's leg. I can't do both legs because I'll fall over if I do both.
Give it a try.
No. All right. Yes. Yes, I have legs, Operator. I know, it's amazing. Everyone thinks that I'm just a disembodied torso that floats around. Hello. But yes, it's shocking. I do apologize to disappoint everyone. Yes, well, Balor always looks like a disappointed father. Right now he's like, last time he was on, he looked like bloody Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was on there going, use the Force, Luke, use the Force. So, talking about Star Wars, funnily enough. But yes, so can you imagine, though, other characters with different voices? Like, can you imagine looking at, for instance, let's take into Pitch Black with Mr. Big Buff himself. What was his name this year? Vin Diesel. Yeah, imagine Vin Diesel. Only, hello, my name's Vin Diesel. How are you doing? We're going to go really fast today, people. I'm going to cut your throat, I am, because I'm Mr. Vin Diesel. I am Riddick. You know, it just
Come here and give me a kiss.
Yeah, come here and give me a kiss. Go on. Yeah, LTS, hello and welcome.
Give me a kiss.
Yes. So, yes, you can...
Come here.
there are definitely, yeah, and Lady Death too. Also, I mean, can you imagine Patrick Stewart? You know, with a French, he's supposed to, when he's playing Jean-Luc Picard, he's supposed to be French, but he does not have a French accent. No, no, no! Engage! We will go to the stars and beyond. You know, no, they chose that he must be a Shakespearean and use that thick Shakespearean accent and be yourself. Forward, engage, number one. And everyone's like, oh, yes, okay, yep, sure, that sold it for me. He's the captain.
Number
But
one
if he,
kind of reminds me of the whole Star Trek at
yeah,
the moment.
yeah,
All the Discovery stuff that's been spore driving us around to directions we never knew possible. It's been so trippy just watching all of the episodes.
we haven't seen any of the new Star Treks.
I haven't seen any of the old Star Treks.
You haven't
I
seen any of
never
the
seen
old
Star
Star
Trek.
Treks. You've never
Yeah, I
seen
don't
Star
think. I
Trek.
think I just, when you're
No.
kind of like,
What?
oh, this thing existed, and now that I'm into like the new stuff, I'm like, wait, was I a Trekkie all along?
No, no. If you want to be a Trekkie, you've got to watch Next Generation, and then forget every other series, and then go on to the most recent Picard one.
Yeah.
Picard.
Yeah, there's a hardcore of yes, Neb has a face. Oh, probably death. There's a hardcore of Star Trek fans who only watch Next Generation and Picard and won't watch any of the other ones.
I did technically watch some of the other ones, and they're crap.
Yeah, well, some of they had their moments. There were episodes that were very good. There was a very good one on Voyager, Tuvix. You know, yeah, when they
And then you had the Betazoid,
yeah, the
the crazy
Betazoid,
one.
the psychopath.
And then
But
obviously
but no,
Star Trek for its original
yeah, the original
The
series,
Kiss.
yeah, the kiss between Captain Kirk and Uhuru, at a time when black people were still segregated. Like, you weren't allowed. You're not allowed to sit on our bus. You must go. No, you'll go to the back. No, you're not allowed to sit with us white people. No, you can't sit at the front of the bus. And there's William Shatner and Uhuru. You know, it was like, this was mind blowing to people at the time. You know,
What people don't know is Gene Roddenberry's first choice of woman to marry
was
was
Uhuru.
Nichelle Nichols.
Yeah, and she turned him down.
Because she
Yeah.
didn't want him to be have anything said against him.
Yeah, she thought it might, you know, ruin the impact if it was, you know, that Star Trek had, because it did have. The original series had massive cultural impact. I mean, there was an episode where they literally took the piss out of racism, where they had these guys from this species where half of the species were silver and black, and the other half of the species were black and silver. Right, so they were cut right down. They were right down the middle. One half of them was black, one half of them was silver. The other side of the species, one half of them was silver, one half of them was black, and that that kind of they had the ones that were black on one side, on the left hand side, and silver on the other side were the master race. They were the powerful ones. But the ones that were black on the right hand side and silver on the left were considered the slaves. And it was like, well, there's no fucking difference. You're the same people, you know. It was, at the time, it was revolutionary thinking. You know, welcome, Scottish Demon, to the stream.
Welcome, Demon.
So it was, you know, I mean, Star Trek really was, in terms of equal rights and women being given positions of admiralty. You know, these were powerful topics that the rest of society at the time were kind of like, whoa, wait, whoa, what's going on here? This is women's in power. What's going on? You know. Now, it didn't go as far as it could have done. For instance, it wasn't Captain Uhuru with Kirk as the communications officer. But in terms of you know, the impact that it brought at the time, it was like walking into a room, pulling a pin on a grenade, and going, "Well, hey guys, chunk, have fun." It was socially explosive. Hey, Captain Shiver and Lady Death, and everyone's here. Hello, beautiful people. So yeah, go back and watch them, but watch them knowing the situation that they were in. Go back and look at them knowing the culture that they were being exposed to at the time, and just look at, I mean, Zulu, this Japanese immigrant to America that was literally locked up in World War II, was given this leading role as being one of the main people, this powerful individual at a time when racism was rife and they still hated Japanese people for what happened during the war. So that was impressive and powerful. Then you go to Voyager, and they started looking at things like introducing the idea of mental health and drug addiction. They didn't shy away. Star Trek never shied away from controversial subjects. I mean, even DS9, and the Next Gen looked at climate change. And okay, it was on a galactic scale, but they were talking about our impact as human beings and as a race of spacefaring folks on the world around us, and what damage that could do.
But this is what I find so intriguing, because even in the more recent episodes, they're talking about things that we haven't quite figured out, but just by naming it and saying that we have is kind of like a complete narrative shift. It's like saying that we can do it because we've done it. And as a person that's viewing the episodes, I'm probably sitting back thinking, done it. Ooh. So it's no longer this sort of like potential dream reality. It's reality. Get with it, T.
Thank you for the host, Scottish. Thank you for the host, Sam. Yeah. Well, again, I mean, you look at the technology of Star Trek. I mean, we went from communicators in the original series, flink, hello. Well, hello, we thought about it, and the original designers said, okay. The original designer of the flip phone went, well, they did it in Star Trek. We can do it now. Why not? Yeah.
Exactly. There's something about that sort of sci-fi.
Yeah.
What's it? Science fiction to fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, one of the things they talked about in one of the episodes of one of the sci-fi series was the idea of this carbon capture. Thank you for the host, Shiver. So it's the idea of capturing carbon from the air. They talk about it, and I can't remember what series it was. It was a while back. It was one that was set in a very dystopian future, and they talked about the capturing, the poisonous gases from the air. And they've talked about it in the original Deus Ex and Deus Ex Invisible War, the idea of cleaning the air and then releasing clean air for everyone else. And look, there's a floof. And it's an important topic. It's an important idea, but it's not the answer, which I'm sure this is leading into Tia's area of expertise. Very much so, and welcome to the stream, Captain Shiver. We have Shiver.
Welcome, Shiver.
Hey. Yes. So it's interesting. Interesting area. What do you guys think? Like, are there any programs you've seen, any sci-fi series you've seen that really kind of speak to you in terms of what you see as our potential future, or taking ideas from that? Balasera? If you say charmed, I swear to God I will kick you from the stream.
Charm.
Yeah.
Hey, Lady Death, how's it going?
I
And this is
don't
Darth
have
here.
any in mind, to be honest. Right now, I don't have any in mind.
Mm.
Lately, I just seen, as you said, Charmed.
Yeah, you just
Then
been
we
watching
play.
Charmed.
We play.
Oh, you know what? I know why my camera's not working. Hold on.
No worries, take your time, Shiver. But Laka says Dead Space. For any gamers out there, if Dead Space is our future, we're fucked. For you, Tia, you're not really a gamer, so you wouldn't know about Dead Space. Yeah, mining worlds for their resources.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which we're kind of leaning towards now, to a certain
I mean,
extent.
aren't people talking about sort of mining asteroids
Yeah.
and all going into stellar with their depletive tactics?
Yeah, well, the problem was that they went to this planet and started mining, and they found an artifact.
Interesting.
And that artifact basically corrupted human cells into something else, and we
Oh wow!
started attacking one
It
another.
recoded the DNA.
Yeah, it was. Ooh, yeah. If Dead Space is our future,
Not quite COVID.
Not quite COVID, but
Okay.
pretty damn close. Yeah, no thanks. Operator Death says Control is our future. Nope. Although,
No.
if it is, thank you for the host, Neb. If it is our future, I'm the only one that
Don't
gets
know
to
why I
float.
didn't do it sooner.
I'm the only one that gets to float. Just so as you all know, I get to decide who can and can't float. I'm the only one allowed to float. Anyone else is not allowed. I am the director. Sorry, that's Tia's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I'm just going to eat a crumpet in the meantime.
Tia, quick question. This is for everyone at home. If you were to eat
Before my crumpet or after my crumpet?
before your crumpet, it's a very quick
Okay.
question. If you were to eat, for instance, I don't know, a fairy cake, right?
With the fairy in it, or just the cake bit?
Just the cake bit. You know, one of those little tea cakes, the ones with a nice little bit of icing on the top. Yeah. If you were to eat, it would be whichever your preference is. If you are to eat one of these, would you, for the sake of argument, take a fork and sit and cut individual tiny little slices out of said cake? Or would you do what normal people do, which is take the wrapper off, open your mouth and go, oh, and eat the whole thing in one go?
I have to think about this one.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
It's a tough question.
If the Queen was sitting in front of me, I'd have to take the fork.
If the Queen was sitting there with the fork. Yes, but in your own home, in the comfort of your own home.
I can't tell you where I live. I might be living with the Queen.
Okay, operator. Yeah, no, that's a in joke. Yes, no, it's fine, operator. No, it's fine.
Wait, what's happening?
Oh, it's okay. Operator Death is it's an in joke between us and Operator Death. We love him. He's our favourite. He should be here, crazy fool, but he's busy doing stuff at the moment. So
he wants to be one of the viewers as opposed to.
He's going to be a viewer for a change.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, that's fair.
Sorry, I've been muted. I'm keeping an eye on chat.
Mm-hmm. Just using the ban hammer on me.
I'm afraid that if I got Operator to be one of your other mods, he might try and ban you.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Ben, what about you? What kind of? And there is a shiver, a beautiful shiver.
I feel like it's incredibly laggy right now.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Shiver.
Hey, how's it going?
Don't worry.
Not bad.
Yeah, Neb, what about you? What kind of programs have you watched that you think we could learn something from? Or games.
That's a tough one. I haven't actually watched anything really that's been like lately anyway. That's been kind of serious and tackling those issues. If anything, the stuff I've been watching has kind of been making kind of like lately I've been watching the US Office. So
Hmm.
all these things that are really serious at the moment, I'm watching people taking the piss out of it because every time you go online, all you see is how serious everything is. So it's
Hmm.
kind of nice to see the other side of it where people are just kind of joking and trying to get on with it.
Hmm.
I haven't seen anything really lately that kind of tackles those issues on a serious level.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I
Uh,
get that. Oh, hydrate from Lady Death. Thank you.
yeah, lately I've been just trying to watch stuff that's a bit more light-hearted, should we say?
Hmm. No, I get that. I get that. Posture check from Lady Death.
Yeah, not a bad
Yes.
idea.
Yeah. And stretch from Balasera. Thank you, thank you. Operator Death says Parks and Recreation's a good one. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, trying to escape from reality.
Everyone has so much going on. I think it's important to get away from it all every once in a while, whether it's gaming, watching TV, or whatever it is you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. We all need an escape. We all need something to step away, to step out of ourselves. You know, I think that's important for your psychological health as well as your physical health. Um, but no, I agree with that. Shiver.
It's
What
really
about yourself?
fascinating that we're
Oh,
having
go
to
ahead.
do that by not using physical spaces. So we're in the same space whilst we're also trying to have a different environment. And it kind of reminds me of this trying to have a different experience in the same physical reality is like trying to do the same thing and expect a different result.
Good old Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I also think that in terms of the physical shift that we're hoping for, you know, if we're not feeling too good or something's come up or something's happening in our lives, we sort of want to shift the mood a little. So it's interesting to know how people do that, whether it is, you know, to escape from it, which always reminds me of an activity away from this current situation, or to go into something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Shiver. What about you? Anything you've seen lately in games or TV or even in a book that you think we could
Shiver,
learn
good beard,
something
by the way.
from?
Whew. I don't know. Haven't been watching a lot of TV lately.
Escaping
Mostly just
reality.
gaming for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're watching Game of Thrones right now again, my wife and I. But other than that, we haven't been watching much. So
Yeah, we're not going to learn anything from Game of Thrones. No,
no.
definitely, we shouldn't learn anything from Game of Thrones. That's another one. Dead Space, Game of Thrones, those are up there with the nah, you're okay, we'll leave that one.
I haven't
Um,
watched Game of Thrones.
I couldn't
I
watch it.
never got into it. I've
I could
never
never get
watched a
into it.
full episode.
Yeah,
God, I
No.
feel so normal here.
yeah, yeah. It's fine. It really is. I'm a friend of mine has been in every season of Game of Thrones. Operator has a question for you. I have a question for Tia. Is it bad that my life really didn't change because of COVID? I avoided people before now, and I have a better reason now. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's
yeah.
That's a brilliant question. I love it.
Mhm.
It's almost as if it's kind of forced us to be even more true and integrity with ourselves.
I'm gonna reset my camera, guys.
Okay, Shiver.
Okay.
Hopefully my mic does not create an echo.
It shouldn't do.
It
I can
does not.
avoid volumes, adjust volumes.
Regards
There we
to
go.
what you just said, Tia, in about integrity, I've noticed that's not 100% true in all cases. For example, we had to go food shopping the other day, and the amount of people not wearing masks,
Mhm.
or if they wore masks, they didn't cover their nose, and just the amount of people hacking and coughing when they were out and about, and or in big groups of numbers, even though the rules specify, you should keep a certain amount of distance, you should wear a mask. Where does integrity then come in?
Someone
I think there is a
has.
sort of societal integrity, personal integrity, and both of them are subjective. On the one side, you've got the personal integrity, where it's like, I believe and this is my truth. But that truth is informed by whatever my personal experience is.
Someone has got the stream unmuted. As we can hear their voice coming through, and I think it's you, Scottish. Yep.
There we go. I think my camera's working better now.
No, my tablet's on mute, so it's not me.
Right. Someone is coming through echo. Let's see.
Hold on.
Oh, it's gone.
I think it's you, like when Nidhi talks, he picks up. You.
No, because I'm hearing your echo as well, Balasara.
Oh yeah, no.
What is
It's
that? Who?
coming from Demon, I think.
Yeah, it's coming from Damon, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, it's coming.
For
Yeah.
fuck's sake, hang on.
Yeah. No worries, no worries. But
There we go. Yeah.
let's see if that works.
I fix it.
Seems to have done. Yep, that seems to have fixed it. Perfect. But
Okay, there we go.
yeah. But yes, it's not the my echo coming through on Nidhi's side. It was that was doing it.
It was, yeah.
It's still coming through.
I don't hear an echo anymore. I did for a bit, but mine's gone.
No,
now.
I hear an echo.
Yeah, it's very mild echo, and it only comes through occasionally. I'm not sure why. Don't know. We will find out who it is. But anyway, yeah.
That's
So,
the captain.
Mr. Demon, as you have arrived, any series or games you've seen lately that you think offer us a glimpse of a possible future we should aim for, or an element that we should aim for? Maybe not the whole thing. For instance, let's face it, TV shows wouldn't be TV shows if there weren't something awful happening. No, nothing you can think to, nothing jumps to mind. I don't think that maybe Destiny has
I can think of at the moment, because not unless you believe in a giant white testicle giving you space magic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and so in what, like, I guess we would need to progress a lot in our technology too before we can. That echo, I can hear the echo now again.
yeah, it's definitely come from Scottish.
Anything I should actually say it's more of a minute.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, while you're muted, it doesn't come through, but when you're not muted, it does. But yeah, no, there's things that you can. I think the lesson is that there's things you can learn from literary idea. Jeff says, when COVID was first rising, we had one new forms full of COVID precautionary steps for removals. Now we see so relaxed about it. Yeah, to be honest, yeah, a lot of people have become very kind of blasé about it. It's like, well, if you die, you die.
Well, we have a very bad, the area I live in right now has been the worst in Canada for the last bit, and we started off the best place almost in the world for new cases for a long time, and everybody just kind of got careless with it.
Mm-hmm.
Our the immediate area I live in has a 40% test positivity rate right now, so it's just been ridiculous. So nobody cares about it anymore.
Yeah, we were in a very similar case, but during the summer we were the third best in the whole of the UK, which is not saying much because the UK was awful. But we were the third best in the whole of the UK, and we were getting maybe 1, maybe 2 new cases a day. And about 2 months ago, we went from the third best to the literal worst. And in a town of 70,000 people, we had 10,000 new cases in a week.
Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy.
Which has had some knock-on effects with our local economy, of course. And it was the exact time that the explosion of cases came in was when they opened the pubs and when they sent the kids back to school. It's like, oh, how we had no idea that would happen. Oh, how would that? Oh, how has this happened? How have we gone from one of the third best in the UK to the literal worst? And then when they closed all the pubs down and closed all the schools down, we're back to being one of the best in the UK again. It's like,
Right. So how's this?
Let's see. Seems perfect, sir. Seems perfect. But
yeah, I literally changed from my my gaming headset to a pair of crappy earphones.
It's weird though.
Yeah, that's weird.
It should still not be doing it. I can hear it again now.
Is that me? Did I do that?
No, it's not you.
Okay. Now, Def, or aka Larkazoid, and Operator mentioned 2 things in reference to games and other mediums. We Happy Few, that was from Def, and 1984, and that was from Operator.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the observation. I mean, what is it? The American military is doing research into literally reading their soldiers' minds and passing that information back and forwards between the other soldiers.
What with like the Neuralink technology that Mr. Musk is putting
like
together?
the Neuralink from Elon Musk, but taking it a step further.
All right.
So yeah, it's. I mean,
it seems like that.
As Operator said, cerebral observational unit testing.
Right, and it seems like it was just a matter of time because they can already implant hearing aids that can transmit sound directly to your brain, right? So it's just the reverse of that. You're now drawing signals out and translating them and sending them wirelessly to another receiver.
Yeah, we're still getting an echo from Scottish Demon. That is so weird.
Is this like a DARPA technology?
A what?
It's like a DARPA technology.
Yeah, say that again to you. What was that you said, Tia? Sorry.
Oh, is this a DARPA technology?
Yes, it's one of DARPA's.
Is this a DARPA technology?
Yeah. Yeah, so Scottish, it may be that you have to mute your mic when you're not speaking. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Sorry about that.
Because Operator, you're speaking of too, they've been doing research into doing wireless transmittals from your brain to a sever or a spot below a sever in your spinal column so that they can heal quadriplegics and paraplegics through that.
It's always a good excuse to do it through biological means for medical reasons.
Right, you start with medical reasons, then you put into soldiers, right? So
yeah, totally. I remember when the bionics were really coming into being, there was a double-page spread in the New Scientist magazine talking about these kinds of technologies used for soldiers and how bionics were sort of extending the capacity of their own soldiers. But the initial was to get amputees the kind of bionic technology to extend the capacity.
Right.
Yeah, all you only have to look at the what was it, Pistorius during the Paralympics was starting to set times faster than the normal athletes with his implants.
My pen.
Which is
it's like Judge Dredd, right?
Yeah.
It basically, if you just let your mind, then he's faster than any human, right? So that's kind of the whole concept. But
yeah, it's a very fine line between something that is for people's benefit. Like I can see the benefit of having soldiers that are all linked together. maybe one soldier looking at a situation will see something that the other soldiers will not, and might lead to a more peaceful outcome. But at the same time, especially when you have something like a checkpoint, like, is that a gun in his hand? Someone else from another viewpoint, no, that's not a gun in his hand. You can definitely see the beneficial side, but there's also, when do they start saying, hey, latest Apple phone, yeah, you don't need to have a phone with you anymore, just have this implant, click.
Right.
And
Can't imagine that's too far away.
no, well, that's what Elon Musk is aiming towards.
Yeah.
But he
Okay,
bought
so
the company.
Yeah, he bought the company because he saw that it was going to be a massive area for profit. Again, Elon Musk is not a genius. He's just very good at marketing.
operator said they're testing robotic limbs using chips in your brain to simulate actual brain functionality out of robotics. And then he asked, have any of you played PsyOps?
Mm-mm.
The game PsyOps?
No.
Uh,
Actually, wait a second. I think
I did,
have.
actually.
Yeah, I think I have.
No.
Okay, Rockwart is here, but he can't listen because
Yeah.
he's working.
Hello, General Tartlets. Yes, I do have a long beard. Yes. It's a very fine line between, the idea of beneficial technology and not beneficial technology. For instance, when I was working on my university degree and I went into doing research, one of the reasons I left my research degree was because the research I was doing, they wanted to speak to the Department of Defense. They wanted to apply my artificial intelligence research to drones effectively. And I'm sorry, that goes against everything that every part of my being. I don't want to make drones better at killing people. I couldn't do it, so I had to walk away.
No. Eventually, you hope, if we can't get over the fact that we're always going to be fighting with each other, eventually you hope that drones are the only thing that carry out war, right? That we are not losing human life all the time, but I don't know. But at that point, what's the point of ever ending a war, right?
But where is the humanity in a machine making a decision?
Well, drones are operated.
What does and doesn't lie.
Right, but drones are operated mostly by people, at least
but
now.
like you could, I mean, I can only imagine in the future, kind of like coming back to a Black Mirror episode of the bee drones, if you remember. I think there's a lot of potential for bringing in some level of consensus or an algorithm around that protects the life forms that haven't done anything wrong.
What?
And even those that have done something wrong, I wouldn't justify. I have a really big issue with militarization. I feel that if anyone's going to pick up a weapon in front of you, the only resource that you have is to also militarize yourself.
Yeah.
So war never creates peace. You will never find peace through militarization. That's just a personal thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. War, to use a Fallout reference, war never changes. It's been the same for thousands of years. Maybe it's time we started trying to do something different.
It makes too much money.
Oh, can you imagine the CO2 footprint of a war?
Mm.
I mean, just to quote, a common sort of like fallacy that we only look at carbon.
We have someone in chat. I'm not going to mention their name, but he was in the army, and he nearly lost his life. He came back and had to have a lot of surgery to repair what damage had been done to his body because of an IED. it's for me. What I completely agree with you, Tia. And when are we going to realise that we are sending our men, women, and children to die?
For me, it's more that our technology has outstripped our emotional maturity.
Can you
Yeah.
please quote that somewhere? That needs to be written down.
Yeah, our emotional maturity as a species has been outstripped by our technical maturity, and a lot of scientists reckon that if there are intelligent species out there, which in all likelihood there are, an awful lot of those will have fallen prey to the same problem. You know, the rate at which you gain technological dominance, the rate at which you master the universe around you, needs to be tempered by the rate at which your emotional intelligence and emotional handling move forwards.
That's the thing.
At the same time, this idea of I don't like the idea of people being able to read my thoughts. At the same time, that would solve if it was a universal thing. I mean, a lot of wars, a lot of misunderstandings stem from people not being able to empathize and understand people's positions. You go back and look at a lot of the wars that have happened in the past. It's been over resources, the need to steal stuff, the need to get stuff. I mean, we all say, oh, well, it's because they were bad guys. And in some wars, yeah, I mean, let's face it, the Nazis weren't exactly fucking poster childs for, how the human race should behave to one another. But at the same time, other wars that have been fought, it's down to, we want resources, we want power in the region, we want their stuff.
Resource grabbing.
Yeah.
When you can make money off those resources, that's even more of a drive to go and do it. And as long as you can make money from these things, it's going to keep happening.
I agree.
You got me thinking, actually, that perhaps it's empathy that has been evolving over time. Go back 1,000 years, was there as much global connection as we have today? I know that some people have issues with the digital commons, but if we had never had the opportunity to be as connected as we are today through the variety of mediums that we find ourselves and the variety of, or the spectrum of creative connection that we have, from videos to gaming together to designing a house on Mars together, whatever it is, the ability that we have today to connect. I mean, take COVID. How many people do you know have been talking about COVID, finding different solutions for COVID, bitching about COVID, a variety of things, right? Some people have actually got really good knowledge on immunology. Some others that don't have much knowledge on immunology might have information on the tech behind the scenes. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we've got capabilities that go beyond all the capabilities of the past. It's almost like we're always growing in exponential capacity and capability, but are we growing in our empathy? And I feel that the challenge is, given the global nature of COVID, that if we don't grow in empathy, then you get the kind of the idiocy that comes with segregation. And, well, we're not going to give you the immunization because we're the ones who spent 6 months creating it. So where does that empathy lie? I'm not talking about sympathy. I'm not talking about I appreciate where you are and kind of like a business case for it, but the real factors of humanity that go beyond just a human and into, I don't know, I don't know what the word would be, compassion to the planet. I mean, your dog.
Yeah. OD, you wanted to step in on the military issue, and coming from your unique background, let's face it, there's no one here more qualified to talk about it than you right now. I know that you are very passionate about that you did the right thing doing what you did, joining the military, and that you protected, you joined for the right reasons, whether the war was for the right reason or not. So I'd very much like to get your input on that, on the impact of not just war on a social scale, on an intellectual scale, but also on a physical scale, because let's face it, you've had it rough.
27 surgeries to repair the damage done, 2 extra surgeries for miscellaneous things, but the physical pain's not as bad as the things that I saw. Everybody only ever sees the ugly side of war. When you're watching TV, you're watching the news, you're reading the articles, all you ever see is the ugly side of things. So from a humanitarian standpoint, war is not, it's not a good thing, because all you see is the fact that soldiers are going in and we're killing people. That's what you see. And you read the newspapers.
It's not always the facts of the matter. There are other things that soldiers have to do. Yeah, I appreciate that.
As Shiver said, it's profitable. War is very profitable. And he lives in Canada, which has kept their nose out of a few wars based off the fact that their economy is doing very well. But let's face it, let's face facts. The UK doesn't go to war just because they want to go kill people. They go to war because they need the money.
Mm-hmm.
US doesn't go to war because we want to go and murder an entire population of people. We go to war because it's profitable. Because you have to hire people to make ammunition. You have to hire people to make weaponry. You have to hire people to make all different aspects of it. But from a soldier standpoint, as the guy on the ground, as the one who joined the military to protect my family from the evils of the world, and I watched 2 planes, and I don't care whose fault it was, I watched 2 planes run into a tower and kill 3,200 Americans. I watched it. I remember what I was doing that day. I remember where I was standing the day it happened. My world literally stood still. And I joined because I never wanted to see that again. Part of the oath you take as a soldier is to defend your country, defend the Constitution of the United States from both enemies, foreign and domestic. So it's not necessarily oh yeah, your country's bad, so we're going to go attack you, but it also sits on the heads of our own people. When I was overseas, what I saw when I was there was something that you will never read in a paper about. You're never going to hear the stories of 14 and 15-year-old boys being trapped in a house and used as toys for these terrorists. You're never going to hear about how you go into a village and the people there are so happy to see you because you bring them the simplest of things, bottled water, food, crackers, things like that. As a populace, you don't get to see the good side of what happens because there's a lot of humanitarian efforts that go behind that.
Yeah, well, that's the importance of the United Nations, is the peacekeeping forces that go into these dangerous situations, put their lives on the line to bring aid to other people, and we don't see enough of that on the television. You don't see enough of that in the news. You don't hear of the humanitarian aid. You don't hear that actually a lot of people that went out to Afghanistan were sent to India first, and were based in India and helped out, which I'm sure you'll relate.
My unit was there to protect. We were there to take out threats, and that's what we did. What people don't get to see is the other side of it, where when I came home, I wasn't seen as a hero. Nobody congratulated me or patted me on the back. They didn't say thank you. All they saw was, hey, you killed women and children. You're a terrible person. I got spit on. I had rocks thrown at me. I had death threats wrote on my garage door because of the job that I decided to do to protect my country. I hate to say it, I worked beside the SAS, which is the British Special Forces, which I think most of you in here know who that is. But for people listening who may not, SAS is the British Special Forces. They are an amazing group of people, but they're very dedicated to one thing and one thing only, and that is the protection of the crown and what it stands for. They don't care who stands in their way. I got to work with the IDF. And yes, okay, I get it. The IDF's a very touchy subject for a lot of people because you either agree with it or you don't agree with it. It is what it is. But those people are fighting with something that a lot of military forces in the world no longer have, and that's conviction. When I was overseas, my only driving force was, can I protect my wife and son from this evil ever reaching my doorstep? Because I got to see what it was really like. I got to see children chained to posts in rooms were used as sex toys for these terrorists. I got to see where an entire town got massacred because one sheik didn't agree with what the extremists were wanting to do. I got to see the true evils of the world. My only goal was to protect my family from it.
The only awful thing is that those evils aren't just out there, they are at home as well. We suffer them everywhere we go. And that is the terrible truth, is that, you know, there is no us and them, there is only us.
From a soldier's standpoint, you know, you made a good point. You did. You pick up guns and we don't think about the morality behind it.
You can. It would destroy you if you did.
When I picked up my rifle, I didn't see people. Not one of them to me was a person. We're targets. It's an unfortunate reality that we must face. I live with those choices every day.
Yeah, well, you have to.
But don't you feel, I mean, my experience in the military is so limited in comparison to yours. I did 2 years and I was a physical training instructor. We did it with the OTC. We had a number of your ROTC cadets that would come over and train with us. And we did Fibua, Obua. We did a number of kind of like different tactical sort of measures. And one of the things that always came up was that this sort of the target-based approach is almost as if you cannot be humane when you see an enemy in front of you. But the moment that you see an enemy in front of you, you will obliterate it. And I feel there is no conversation when you are in obliteration mode. And I don't buy well, they used to chain children to, you know, staircases and wherever else. Every other country has seen idiots that do that. Every other country has seen, you know, pedophilia and or, you know, leave babies in jails and separate children from mothers. And it's almost as if it's a universal behavior in humanity to see both good and bad, right? I mean, the Indians, I mean, I'm Indian, and yet there are people who are running around as Hindus slaughtering other people, and they turn around and they say, well, you know, we're Hindus, we would never do that, you know. Muslims that dear friends of mine from the Arab cultures who would never hurt a fly, and yet at the same time others that represent jihad. You know, I feel that the more divisive we are and separating ourselves from others, and instead of reaching out to them and helping them, we're not helping them by killing them.
They're also not helping us by not being conversive in themselves. Because
but
if you talk to
language or your culture,
I can speak Farsi. I could speak their language.
No, you can. You might be able to, right? But I'm saying that, you know,
as a culture,
English isn't the universal language for everybody.
The thing of it is when I was over there, me personally, this has nothing to do. I can't speak for any soldiers you've worked with. I can't speak for anybody else. My job specifically, couldn't be people. Couldn't be. It was impossible for them to be that. Because if they were, that means
you couldn't
do your job effectively. My job was to make sure my guys came home. That was my job, to make sure my guys came home. But they are someone else's
guys too.
Yeah,
and I think when you're in that moment, though, it's kind of challenging. Like
you have to.
When you're on the ground, and I mean, as a culture, I understand what you're saying. I think this is where you were going, Eli, too. As a culture or as a military as a whole, approaching things differently is a good idea. But as the soldier on the ground in that time, when you have your orders, you got to do what you got to do, right? That's kind of what you signed up for. And it's unfortunate that the state of our military, the state of our wars right now, are still so brutal. But it's where they're at. If you're a soldier right now, right?
There's a very good reason why the IDF use female snipers. And it's because a female sniper sees a target. They don't want to associate with that target. They don't want to empathize with that target. Their sole thought is, I've got to get back to my family. I've got to get back. I've got to look after my family.
Isn't that a carrot, though? Who's dangling that carrot in front
Well,
of you?
this is the thing. As a species, we have set up this situation where we are forced into this situation where you can only choose to see people as targets if you are in a position of war. Scottish Demon has said, in my opinion, the people of the group that say those who do this extremist act aren't real XYZ are choosing to blind and distance themselves, and it does nothing to help solve anything, only leads to more problems further down the line. Well, the truth can also be applied both ways. I agree with you to a large extent there. There is, for instance, the Hindu violence in India at the moment, where they are attacking basically anybody who is not Hindu.
Correct.
And the people who have a brain between their ears are like the Darth Hindu are like, well, these aren't representative of us. We're not like that. Well, go read the Bhagavad Gita and tell me you're not like that. Yes, it's there. It's in there. It's there in the Bible. It's there in the Quran. If somebody does something to you, you fight back any way you need to. And unfortunately, that is a cultural artifact that we as a species need to go beyond. Now, we're not at that point yet. We're not. Our species is not at that point yet. Our technology has far outstripped our emotional intelligence.
Full circle back to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
What does emotional intelligence meeting our technological capacity mean?
Well, we have to understand that for a start, we as a species are not distinct. We are not the master species on the planet. COVID has taught us that.
I think that was a real eye opener.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. A virus.
Yeah, but even in the midst of it, we can still get together as a species and try battling this thing. We still got the wars going on.
Yeah, well, we have to. Yeah, we've still got wars
Right.
going on. Instead of unifying as a species and saying
Right.
there is an outside threat. If aliens came tomorrow and started bombing our cities, there would be some of us who would say, "Oh, we'll help you, aliens, if you leave us alone." And
No,
screw
we'll
the
help
rest
you
of humanity.
if you just get rid of X country.
Yeah, we'll help you if you just get rid of those guys.
Just get rid of the people who, drink this or do this
or wear this.
Selective breeding.
On the flip side of that coin, yes, I was a soldier. Yes, I'm a dedicated soldier to my country. It doesn't matter what anybody tells me. I'm not going to waver in that what I am. I am who I am. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is that protection doesn't mean I only protect my country, because there are amazing people, individuals in every country that need protection. And as someone who looks at it like your alien example, it's perfect, because think about it, if aliens came and bombed right now, how many people would literally go out and be like, okay, I'm going to try and protect as many as I can versus I'm trying to protect what benefits me. Mm-hmm. So for me, I look at it like, okay, the aliens are attacking everyone. So we need those of us who are able to do something to band together to protect everyone, not just you. So morality was something that we had, but we had to, in the heat of the moment, you're unable to sit there and think about it from a moral standpoint. Because my job was to get my guys home. That was my only goal, was, can I get my guys home? Because we didn't sign up to protect oil fields. That's not what we went there for.
Is that what you went there for?
You went there to find. You went there to find one bad guy. That's what every war ends up as. It's not just that one. The SAS, the British SAS, they went there searching for a high-level terrorist, and what did they end up doing? They ended up guarding oil fields, because oil is the only currency that controls the world. Money, the pound, the dollar, the Canadian dollar, none of that matters. It's your oil. That's why when Saudi Arabia decided, okay, you want to screw with oil prices, America, they flooded the market with oil and tanked the price of a barrel of oil down to like $10 a barrel.
Yeah,
Because
oil is
America,
the only thing that
wanted to
keeps us comfortable,
charge
right?
exactly because America wanted to charge a surplus on oil that's being imported from other countries. So Saudi Arabia said, okay, we'll play this game. And they flooded the oil industry with something stupid like 74 million barrels of oil, and it tanked the price down to something stupid like 10, I think it was like $10
Yeah, 10
a barrel.
$15.
And they did it because Saudi Arabia can do it. They control 98% of the oil in the Middle East, which the Middle East has something called honey oil. It's the most pure form of fossilized oil on the planet, and it's in the Middle Eastern countries.
Right, and you can find it
So-
by sticking a spade in the ground. So
Yeah, exactly. You can literally find it everywhere there.
Mm.
So oil is always what it's about. It's always about the same thing. You
It's
go there
like,
for one reason, but really it's oil.
yeah, let's face it, this is the reason that certain people are trying to, and I'm not just saying American here, I'm saying certain people across the world want a war with Iran. They want to topple the regime because it's not a friendly regime. It's not a
Weapons of
regime that
mass
they want to
destruction.
see. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck about the Iranian people. They don't give a fuck about the Iranian country or the Iranian leaders. It's the fact that they want to run a pipeline from Afghanistan to Saudi Arabia.
They want Afghani oil.
Yeah.
That's all it is, because right now they have to send in trucks and choppers to exfil the oil away from Afghanistan. Whereas if they got rid of Iran,
they could just put a
it would
pipeline.
literally be a straight shot.
Yep, straight
It would
through.
literally be a straight shot. So this is where we have to start looking at things like, if aliens attacked tomorrow and they were killing people, what side of the fence would you stand on? Would you try to protect everybody? Would you try to protect your own interests? Me personally, I've done some terrible things in my past and I live with them every day. I can say this with all honesty in my heart. My goal would to be protect as many people as I possibly could. We're called a shield wall for a reason. It's not because we stand there and think about, well, what do these people give me? It's because we're going to stand there and protect as many of them as we can. Morality
regardless
is something
who
that
stands
you
behind us.
Exactly. Protect those that stand behind you, and you defeat those that stand in front of you. And it's an unfortunate reality of human nature. Human nature will always be to fight. It's just how humans are.
A picture I saw on Facebook, and it's from one of the Viking pages I follow. It says, "Those who stand behind you, you protect them. Those who stand with you, you fight beside them. Those who stand in front of you, you defeat them."
I think the exact quote was, "Those that
Yeah.
stand behind you, you protect. Those you
That's it,
stand
yeah.
beside you, respect. Those you face, you destroy."
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in
It's a gruesome
war,
reality.
that is the only reality that you can accept. You cannot, unfortunately, in war, and this is an unfortunate truth of war as it currently stands, you cannot think about the other side and humanize them or empathize with them. But if we reach a point where we can empathize with everyone on the planet, if we understand everyone's situation, everyone's thoughts, this is going back to the idea of the brain interface. You know, the need for war goes away because we then accept that we are all the same. Because if you look at the Quran, you look at the Hindu texts, you look at the Torah and all of these pieces of religious text, they effectively all say the same thing. You know, don't be a dick. It's just don't be a dick. Be a good person. I mean, Shiva, you are probably the most religious of this group of people in terms of your upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
right? And in terms of the Bible, I've read a lot of the Bible. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. I've read the
Mm-hmm.
Torah from cover to cover. I've read the Quran from cover to cover. That was part
Right.
of my upbringing. But from your perspective as a Christian, it, the basic teachings are, respect your elders, be there for everyone, love your neighbor, and be a good person.
I mean, the golden rule is, love God first, love others second, and love others as you would love yourself. So
Yeah.
I guess there you're kind of and that's kind of what I adhere to the most. There's a whole bunch of other rules and laws or whatever, but it also says don't judge. So if you take those ones at face value, my job as a Christian, for starters, is to love God, love everyone else, and not judge them for what they've done. So it doesn't matter. Like if I've had so many people tell me, well, you can't support the LGBT community, or you can't support war. You got to be, a pacifist and all that. Bullshit. That's what I say to that. How am I, even if it says all that in the Bible, at the start of it all, I'm supposed to love first and not judge. That's not up to me. And so that's what I live by. I don't ever, there's nothing anyone can say to me, unless you're a serial killer who enjoys what you're doing. There's nothing anyone can say to me that they've done in the past that I would not want to be their friend. And it doesn't matter, whatever it is. And that said, I'm Christian. I've been raised that way. I have a very strict upbringing that way. But I'm not like that anymore. I've taken a lot of that whole judgmental attitude, how I was raised, and I've left it behind. Right, it's not something that I adhere to anymore. But I was raised that rock and roll's the devil's music. You can't have any tattoos, all that stuff. Like very conservative. But as far as that goes, I'm not like that in any way. I'm still Christian. Like I still believe in all that stuff, but I also believe that the first thing you got to do is just love people, right? So that's kind of where I start. And
now to look at a alternate version of that, Tia, you were raised Hindu. You were you and Nitty both raised very strictly Hindu. And it's a very dear part of not just your religion but your culture. I mean, let's face it, in Hinduism, yes, there are some terribly violent parts to Hindu culture. Everyone thinks of Hindus as being perfectly peaceful, but no. Go read the Bhagavad Gita. Go read the Ramayana. See what people do when push comes to shove. What the gods do, what individuals do. But at the same time, there is an underpinning.
Say underpinning that of loyalty. Loyalty was definitely promoted in all of our religious texts, and respect, loyalty and respect.
What do you think?
Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. Non-violence is the first rule or the first code.
Yeah, as a code is a religion to a large extent, operator. A code is a religion. It's your own religion. I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget, is that when I read a Bible and when Shiva reads a Bible, what we take from that is different. It's the same text, but what we take from it is different. If Tia were to read a Bible, she would take something different to me, something different to Shiva. It's that's the thing that my parents tried to impress on me the most. Is my father is Muslim, my mother is Buddhist. My father only recently converted to Islam. He's still in the stage of over commitment that you get when you first convert to a religion, as it were. But rightly or wrongly, that he is very much sold on the idea of Islam and the rights within it, as it were. But at the same time, I mean, what I take from something and what you take from something and what everyone else takes because of our personal experiences, I will never tell someone that their beliefs are wrong. I will never tell someone that their religion or their code or their moral compass is wrong because I have not lived your life. What you believe.
Well, that's exactly it. And I know sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know for Christianity anyway, like the Great Commission is something that's really taught a lot in the older sort of conservative backgrounds where we are supposed to go out and tell people, right? Try and bring more people to Christianity, whatever. And it's a real interesting thing, I guess. I don't know what the term, like what the word really is for it, but just on the sake, like not trying to convert people, like that's not what I'm getting at here. But what's happened in the past a lot is that you try and convert people through either negotiating, and if that doesn't work, then you get angry and you go to war, right? Like historically, you look at old wars throughout history, and a lot of them were fought over religion. And I feel like one of the most appealing things to any religion, not just Christianity, is if you can go out there and even though you have all this background about what your religion tells you the world should look like, but all you do is love unconditionally. At the end of the day, if you can relate to someone and you can be friends despite your differences, right? What better way to live? Like, and I don't need to get angry at anyone for what they believe. Just be there for each other, right? And at the end of the day, like if I meet an atheist and I I tell him that he's wrong and he's going to burn in hell because he doesn't believe in anything, do you think he's going to want to join my religion or like join my or anyone's religion, anything like that? Do you think that he's going to want to even ask a question about who I believe in or what I care about? He's going to tell me to F off, and that's going to be the end of the conversation, right? So and at the end of the day, still not trying to force anyone. That's just the way I think about it. If someone wants to ask me about what I believe, I think the best way for me to approach that is to love them first, and maybe they'll ask me, right? But to go in there in a judgmental fashion and try and get someone to, to save someone, so to speak, is the wrong way to approach it. So
I think to build on what you're saying as well, there is this like this question of conditioned love, right? Like if-then statements in loving situations, and something that I adore so much between Niti and Eli is that unconditionality in love between each other, but also showcasing something that isn't an if-then statement. And I think the moment that we sort of fall into the I will love you if you pass this test, or if you do the dishes, or whenever we create these circumstances and conditions, we're not really in authentic love.
No.
And it's quite difficult to know the difference because there's always if you think about all the people that you've loved in your life, how many of them did you love because you loved them and it didn't really matter what they did or how much money they had in their bank account, or if they got along with their family or not, or if they were religious or not? Like, how much of those, in theory, pillars in life are necessary for you to feel comfortable with loving them, rather than, if none of those pillars exist, I will still love you?
it's actually a very rare thing. Like if you look at a lot of relationships, one of the biggest factors in failing marriages is finances, right? It's one of the biggest reasons, which means the unconditional love was actually never there if you're going to fall apart when you don't have money.
It was because you were going to bring in bread and I was going to look after your babies. That was the deal. And now you're not upholding the deal, and I'm not popping out babies. So
and so I think one of the truest forms of that is between a parent and their child. That's where you're going to see it most commonly. Unfortunately, you still see it a lot of times when when it's not even there in that situation. I've been heavily involved in the foster system here in Canada just because my parents have fostered for forever. And it's just amazing how often that love bond isn't even unconditional between parents and their children, which is very sad. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
Ben,
coming back to
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Theo. I was just going to say, Ben, you come from, out of all of the people here, you come from one of the most religious countries in the world, strictly religious
Yeah.
countries, let's face it.
And
Southern
I
Ireland,
have
as much as
zero
we,
beliefs.
it's amazing that the if you want to talk about separation between religion and state, Southern Ireland doesn't have separation between religion and state.
It's only
to a
kind
large
of the
degree.
last maybe say 5 years that there's been any sort of movement between, for example, schools not requiring a child to be like baptized or whatever to be eligible to go to that school. Like both of my kids go to what's called Educate Together, which is basically, like, put it this way, my daughter's best friend is Muslim. They don't teach religion in school. You just kind of learn to accept everybody for the way that they are. And I think that that's probably the most important thing really to take from school at the moment, considering the way things are between everybody. You should just learn to tolerate people for the fact that they're people, not because of beliefs or anything like that. Like there's kids that are in our class that are obviously different religions, they have disabilities, there's a mix of everybody in there. And I think if you grow up with that, and you can be tolerant of people regardless, I think you've a fairly decent moral compass to start with.
Yeah.
Like religion was never a big thing in my family. Like my mom and dad, well, my dad, he was quite religious until he kind of hit like my age. But my mom, she was never really religious at all. So I didn't really have any religious beliefs being pushed upon me or anything like that growing up. Like I did have to study religion when I was in school, but other than being in school, I didn't have any religion in my life. Like I didn't go to mass, I didn't do anything like that. So beliefs as far as religion go is just never something that I've had. But I have no problem with what people believe in. Like you can believe what you want, whatever helps you get through the day, whatever makes you feel better. No issue with it. No issue. Whereas I think with some religions anyway, they're not accepting that way. If you don't believe, well, I don't want to know you.
I think there's a range within every religion, right? Even my own even my own family. I have a large family. My dad came up from a family of 14 siblings, and even within that family, you have the more liberal end and the extreme. The extreme end where if you're not a Christian or if you have tattoos or if you listen to rock, then you're going to hell kind of thing. And then I would probably be the most liberal side of it, where I don't listen to that at all. I accept everyone no matter what, right? So you got that range within every family, within every religion. So
well, the crazy thing is you have that range even with a religion like Buddhism. I mean, you think of Buddhism, you think of, oh, it's all about peace, non-violence. So we shall commit no crimes and do no wrong. Except for the fact there are literally Buddhists out there, Buddhist extremists, who kill people for not being Buddhist enough. Like, did you even read the religious texts?
That goes back to
wanting to protect what they think is right. It's like it comes back to what our friend was saying earlier, our soldier friend.
Operator,
that we're at that stage where when we protect, we're willing to take up arms when we're in protection mode, or protecting something that we believe in, or that we need to almost I want to come back to sort of Machiavellian justify what you're doing for the, the end justifies the means. So you're willing to do whatever said evil, even if it is short term, to have longevity in the afterlife, whatever that may be. I think also in relationship to how we develop ourselves, I think there are very important questions we need to ask. What are we willing not to do? What are we willing to unlearn? I think there are really, I'm going to come back to Bruce Lee, and he often said, every way has a limitation. And he used to take that from martial arts, because he said, if you learn every methodology for this particular martial art, and your opponent also learns every single, method and practice, effectively you're fighting yourself, and you know which other moves there are, and it's just a case of improving, but there isn't that much improv when you've got to show the same process. So what he was saying was that he can get into a fight and know exactly what the training was, because he knew what was going to come next. What he was trying to say through martial arts was that there was always a limitation in every way. And I feel, hand on heart, there is a limitation in every way, whether it's religious or a discipline, or the way that we make our toast. Like, could have made it a different way. Some other person on the other side of the planet has got a better.
The exact quote from Bruce Lee is, "The only way is to have no way. The only style is to have no style." It's a very. I was taught that by my martial arts teacher from the get-go. He was a very strong proponent of
Aikido or something.
I've done Aikido, karate, ninjutsu, taekwondo, kung fu, black dragon kung fu, Shaolin. I've done judo. I've done Ninpo Jiu-Jitsu, which is really weird and incredibly hard to practice because every move is designed to kill. It's like, this is not self-defense. This is
love.
This is assassination craft. So yeah, it's and you're never quite sure if you're doing it right because you can't practice on anyone. You don't know till you do it, and you're like, wait, that wasn't right. Oh shit, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
No, you're not dead. I did it wrong. Let me try again.
Yeah, let me do that again.
You're successful when you've got nobody walking out the class.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Nitty, you were going to say about the religion.
When I was a kid, I went to a Church of England school, and yes, we had assemblies and we had to walk to church. But during the break times or during my lessons, we had a special teacher come in so I could do my own religious lessons, such as reading the religious texts. So there wasn't only classes for myself being Hindu, but someone would come in for those who were Muslim, Buddhist, Jain. So that school actively encouraged the idea of learning about your own religion as well as
Excuse me
obviously.
for a minute.
Okay, no.
Okay. Obviously, Christianity being main in this country, but what I think is, as much as we are giving time to Christianity in schools, we should be giving equal time to all the other world religions, because otherwise, how are we going to accept one another if we don't truly know about one another?
I was very, very lucky with my parents that they
Yeah,
wanted.
your parents were amazing.
My parents they didn't tell me, you're going to be Muslim, you're not, you're going to be Christian, you're going to be Buddhist. They said, here is all the religious texts. Go read them, make your own mind up.
I also remember when we were at school, like the number of times that you would bring up questions about, and sort of like quotes from different texts because you wanted to understand and so you would always want to push further. There was no sort of like, this is what I've read and this is, gospel. You would forever try and push all methodologies and theories and practices because you wanted to find the truth. And I feel that seeking inside of you, really gave everybody around you, i.e., Niti and myself, Hina, all of these people, that it gave us an opportunity to really sort of question what we believed in and why we believed in it, and came back to that rote learning. Are we just learning it because someone's told us to, or whether there is actually a serious question behind this?
Yeah, my mum and dad, my dad eventually, I mean, he still is very much Hindu, but he's become more of a spiritualist, whereas my mum is still very much a strict follower of the Hindu faith. I don't get me wrong, I grew up very religious, but then after a series of occurrences that happened,
Shook your faith.
it shook my faith to the point where I will happily talk about everything in the Hindu faith that I love, but I will also talk about things that I find that are unnerving. But if someone said to me, "Are you Hindu?" Part of me says yes, but the other part of me, the bigger part of me, it's like I had to walk away. But I know in my heart that to respect other people, to not be judgmental. One of my biggest things is to support people.
Stepping in there just to run with that. That is the soul. What we
It's my
tried to build with Midgard and with the community at Midgard is a group of people that might be from completely different areas, different backgrounds, have different upbringings, different beliefs. Like I utterly respect Operator Death for his beliefs on the need for military, the need for a strict control of that military. I also I am utterly in love with Tyr's outlook that we can be so much better as a species. We can be so much better. We need to work towards this. This is the driving force that we should have as a species. And I think that that's been kind of lost its way for a little while now. We've been so preoccupied with, oh, well, we're the best already. And I think that's the one thing that I like to take from the coronavirus is the coronavirus has basically reminded us we're not undefeatable. We're not unstoppable.
We're not gods.
We're not gods.
And if we don't work together, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There needs to be a common consensus with everybody, not just in one country, not just in two countries, but all around the world. People have to come together and break away from this idea that, oh, I'm better than you, I'm more holier than you. We need to break away from this mindset if we are going to be able to come together and work for a common goal.
The idea that we as a species are, the COVID is a prelude to what's coming. Something much worse is down the line. And to bring Tyr in on this one, the one that's the terrifying one on the spectre on the horizon is what some are calling climate change. I like to call it climate collapse.
Ecosystem collapse.
Because we're a classic example. Since 1970, we have consumed more resources than the Earth is able to replenish. Now, I chose that word very specifically, Tia. And this is, it's all good and well talking about carbon capture devices. It's all good and well saying, oh, well, you know, the private sector will police itself. The private sector will, you know, right itself. That's just the way it works. Yeah, look at banks. Look how well 2008 showed us that worked when banks policed themselves. You know, it doesn't work. You can't let private interests police themselves. We also can't rely on governments. Governments will not do what is necessary. Governments will
No,
only do what they
brilliant.
need.
You can't allow private interests to police themselves.
Well, it's true.
So
You know.
good.
Well, the running joke in what was it, the election before last election in Canada here was Justin Trudeau saying that the economy, our debts, everything will just, the budget will balance itself, is what he said. Right? My goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, we still voted for him apparently, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Oh, look, Boris Johnson. Oh, yeah, well, Brexit. Yes, we'll have Brexit. Exactly. We will get to keep all of our eggs in our basket, and Europe will give us more eggs for our basket because
exactly.
we're amazing.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for us.
Yeah.
Sure, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, attitude.
Anyway, I gotta run here, guys. It was
okay, super.
Awesome
Thank you for
hanging out with
dropping by.
everyone. Thank you so much.
Now, as you disappear, we will bring OG Ruckus in. OG Ruckus, we've seen you sitting there in the background. Hello. As a
the one thing that I want to bring in is to kind of sort of tie it all together from the classic American standpoint. Everyone's saying, we all need to learn to respect and understand and empathize with one another. To me, the greatest fallacy that is the United States is that it was founded on religious freedom. Yet today, the majority of the country looks down on anyone who is not the same religion as them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous to me. The foundation was pure, but it's been perverted for so many years that it's going to be a long road to correct.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I should have said before I unmuted my mic. Sorry. My bad.
Back in a moment.
As you were saying, it was built on good intentions. Unfortunately, our good intentions, yeah, as Eli said, hell is paved with good intentions. But we also, and this kind of leads into the environment as well. When we took the land from indigenous peoples, if we want to better ourselves now, we, as not only one nation but all nations that this has happened to, we need to not, if we want to right our wrongs, we need to not only apologize to them, but we need to accept that we made a mistake and that we are willing to change. And now, crossing this over in regards to the environment, the indigenous peoples did so well in looking after their environment that if we want to learn to fix what can be fixed now, because unfortunately it's too late now, if we can learn from them, then we've got a better chance of trying to save what we've got left.
Yep. That was the core of the people that the United States stole the land from. It was, you live off the land and you respect the land, and that was the way that they survived.
That's all right. It's all right.
And if we could all go back to that,
To your
it
coffee.
would be a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. Well,
I am back.
I'm getting caught up in wires. I'm going to be back in a moment.
Yes. What? You guys didn't see that. That totally wasn't me just flinging the mouse
Are you
keyboard.
doing somersaults then?
Yes, I'm doing somersaults. That's Niddy can't. No, it's not share the screen.
I'm
How do I do
gonna
this?
I'm gonna head to Betty Bye Byes.
Okie dokie, Miss Tier. Thank you
and
for
say
dropping
thank
by.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, you are always welcome to come and join us. Nitty's having trouble. We've got a recliner sofa, and Nitty has trouble unreclining the reclining sofa. It's because she's so small. She can't reach the floor when she's on the sofa. When we were at the store, when we bought it, and Niddy was wearing her Dr. Martens, which have these. Would you like to go and get me one of your Dr. Martens so people can see why this was a terrible mistake? When we bought this sofa while Niddy was wearing these Dr. Martens. Okay, so nice boot. Oh dear, huge platform. So when we bought the sofa, Niddy was like, oh yes, this is really comfortable. I can fit on the floor and everything's perfectly fine. This is comfortable. Ah yes, this is a great sofa. And we got it home and Niddy sat in it and she's like, I can't reach the floor. My feet are off the floor. But yes, unfortunate accident. But yes, we need to bring Miss Tia. We need to get you in for another GGS to talk about sustainability. I've actually got it. It's on the list. It's right there. I was literally leading to it. It's right there. It was leading to that. But you have to go to bed, Miss Tia. We'll have to organise this for another time. Before you disappear and fly off into the ether and
Sleep.
Yeah, let everyone know what it is you do.
Yes, with pleasure. So for a number of years now, I think I've just been trying to figure out where there is contradiction in the systems that I've been brought up in. One of the biggest contradictions is economics. And as an economist and my first degree in economics, I really felt I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand why we were running around in success cycles of GDP. But then externalizing the most important thing, which is our output on landfill sites. And so I was trying to figure out, like, we've obviously developed a system that makes absolutely no sense for the environment, but we also don't know how to create metrics that are inclusive of the responsibility that we have towards the environment. And instead of putting it out of sight, out of mind, how do we encourage the inclusion of that into a system and not the hope that we're going to put it into a CSR department once we've made a mess? It's like, oh, we made a mess. And now we're going to open up a CSR department. And now we're going to clean it up. Well, why didn't you not make the mess in the first place? So the big question is for us, how can we find creative solutions to ensure that design has already the DNA of replenishing the earth rather than sustaining the status quo? And let me differentiate. I don't believe in sustainability. I don't like the word. I don't like the concept. I don't like this idea that you're going to clean the shit up once you've made a mess in the first place. You're not going to be able to clean that up. And to give you an example of that, it's like, oh, well, that's okay. We'll recycle all of these plastic bottles and put them into t-shirts. Wait, you think I really want to be breathing in microfibers of plastic in my clothing 24/7? No, thank you. And then there's the quick, well, but we've made something out of it. Oh, that's brilliant. So what happens to it once you're done with it then? Landfill site. So all you've done is deferred the eventuality of something going into a landfill site. You haven't stopped it from going into the landfill site. So
Plastic can only be recycled so many times before it can no longer be used.
Correct. So why wouldn't we create out of this conundrum? And I believe that we can. So for us, it's about replenishing the earth. It's how do you make sure that you're not sustaining the status quo, right? Coming back to Einstein's methodology, which is to have, to continue to have the same amount of resources, and to think that something different is going to come as a result of that is silly thinking. So how do we develop methodologies and systems that can encourage us and incentivize us and give us tools to move beyond GDP as a measure of success by just how much you spend? Whether you're spending it on a pack of cigarettes or a new pair of lungs or an operation or a funeral, it looks very good to the economy. There's no differentiation, there's no humanity in GDP. And so I think that including the environment in our calculations is really important, and that's where there is a lot of headway with environmental accounting. But I also think there's a huge amount that we can do, especially in the gaming community, to incentivize these beautiful interactions that we can have with encouraging people to be closer to nature. And I feel that until we are not, we are most probably and most likely going to fucking destroy it. Just like we destroy each other. So how do we move away from destruction and the separation from nature and think that nature is our slave? We can do whatever we want to it. Let us deplete it and hope that we shall still continue in 1,000 years' time. But that's not the reality. And the reality is that even NASA says so in the research that is coming up, that in well over 100 years, we will all be climate refugees. And that means that we're all going to be moving away from our home environment, wherever that may be, to a place most likely to a war situation, and with consequences to our health, our well-being, whatever we believe in, probably and most likely won't exist. And situations will change dramatically for us. So before we get to those circumstances, how can we creatively resolve this situation and become more resilient as humans, but connecting with the planet in a way that moves us into opportunities? This doesn't mean that we can't create games that are incredibly good for the environment. This doesn't mean that we can't create blockchain products or chains that effectively are running on renewables. This doesn't mean that we can't develop compostable items when we're designing them. This doesn't mean that we can't create eco solutions for cities or buildings or anything that we use either as a product or a service. I think it's a problem with imagination. And coming back to Ready Player One, I really strongly believe, yes, imagination is limited by our reality, but the flip of that is also true. That is, reality is limited by our imagination. And until we don't get beyond our imagination, I don't think we'll get beyond our personal, subjective realities.
Well, thank you very much for dropping by tonight, Tia. It's absolutely a pleasure to have your company as always. We will have to get more time with you soon, whether it's on GGS or just general chat on Discord. You're going to have to get to know Discord more, Tia.
I know this is my first ever call on Discord, by the way.
Yeah, she's doing very well for her first time. That's what she said.
I haven't switched the wrong one. I did earlier, just before we went live. Somebody was really clever and said, "Oh, look, this is a voice channel." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Click.
Out of the chat, I went.
I'm so glad that we got to see you, Tia. It's been too long.
It's been way too long. But
hopefully next time we meet up again, it won't be raining.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be raining. We can actually go and explore places.
We were like catching up like crazy.
Yeah, just sit in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Now,
giggling away with like Eli. He had like literally a smile that was just like.
He was just sitting there the entire time we were talking. Couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Right. Love you both. Love you all.
Take it easy. Thank you for dropping by, Miss Tia. Peace.
Take care.
Bye. Take care.
Yes. Well, moving on from the impending climate collapse disaster that is going to claim us all at some point.
Joy, Sassy, you're welcome to join us anytime you
Yes,
want,
please,
darling.
Sassy.
Anybody in chat.
Please. Anyone who wants to come and join in,
We
please come
love your
join in.
interactions, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, come on in. I'm going to have to leave in like 10 minutes myself, so someone's going to have to take a place.
But, yeah, if we look at the current situation with COVID as an example of what's going to happen with this climate with climate collapse when it happens. Whatever your opinions are, let's face it, when shit hits the fan, we're not going to have a load of people there ready to clean it up. We're going to have a load of people throwing shit at the fan because that's what they want to do. Let's face it. I mean, look at COVID. Look at how things go. Hey, Snow Angel, come and join us. Come and join us. Look how COVID's gone. You know, it's not difficult. Ben, Neb, you know from how things have gone in the South, right?
Yes.
You guys did a fairly comprehensive lockdown at the start. It wasn't a full lockdown, but it was a fairly comprehensive lockdown at the start. And
well, we did actually hit a full lockdown for a short period. Like the only thing that was open was supermarkets, and that
I've misplaced the pen. Thank you.
Yeah.
That at the start worked really well. Like when we came out of lockdown, we got down to single-digit cases daily, and then as soon as obviously they opened schools and everything, we went into like level 3, so there was restrictions. Not everything was locked down, but there was a lot of restrictions in place. But as soon as people start going back to work and schools went back, then obviously everything skyrocketed.
Went to shit again.
Like on Tuesday, we are finishing up a 6-week level 5 lockdown. So everything's been closed other than supermarkets for the last 6 weeks. And we're not doing as well this time as we did last time. Like we still have 200-300 new cases daily, and that's because people don't think it's serious anymore. Because the deaths are so low, and when I say so low, I mean like they're between 3 and 7 per day we're having deaths. Now that sounds like very few really, but like we shouldn't be having any deaths.
No.
And we shouldn't have 200 or 300 new cases a day. But the reason we went into this was because we went from single-digit cases daily to hitting 1,200 cases in a day. So, like, obviously, people aren't taking it very serious anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're aiming for. I mean, Balassari, you in Portugal. Portugal got absolutely hammered at the start of this. Portugal and Spain, two of literally the worst places to be at the start of this COVID. Yep. You know, I mean, you've experienced firsthand what it was like for the initial wave of what happens. You know, I mean, what's your experience of it now? Are people the same way? Are they just sort of, oh, fuck it?
There are people that are like more. They are more careful of what they are doing in the daily basis, but there are the majority of people are just like fuck it. It's not a thing. This is not a COVID isn't real. It's just a way for the government to make more money. You know, it's it's what you hear mostly in the streets. Unfortunately.
Yeah, Ruckus, you in South Carolina. I know that South Carolina didn't get hit very hard at the start, and now almost every family that I know in South Carolina has been hit by COVID in some way. So I mean,
and it's kind of that same attitude. You know, I call it the social media news network. Instead of actually looking at the scientific fact that, you know, it's out there and it's getting worse, everybody looks at, you know, Facebook or Twitter or wherever they want to look, and they see, oh well, you know, statistically there aren't that many people dying. There are still mask mandates all over the state. Anytime you go into a building, you're required to wear a mask. Yet you walk into a supermarket or a gas station, not even the employees are wearing masks. I walk in wearing my mask and people look at me like I'm an idiot. And I'm looking at them going, I'm not catching this shit. You guys have fun.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
one of the places we get our groceries from, because it's closer, not I'd say about a quarter, no, three-quarters of them wear masks, and the other quarter don't. And they have a rule that anyone who comes in has to wear a mask, but they don't enforce that rule. I've noticed. Nearly half of the people that go there who do their shopping there don't wear masks, and a few shops in the area don't enforce the rule at all to wear a mask and to observe distancing.
See, that seems a bit crazy to me because I'm not allowed to go into Dunn stores without a mask on.
Mm.
And like they have people outside, they tell you like when you can go in because there's a set amount of people allowed in at each stage. But like if I went over there without a mask, they wouldn't let me in without a mask.
Mm.
So I think that's the only way you're going to get people to really actually do it is make sure that there's somebody there telling you, no, you're not going in unless you have a mask. It's your choice whether you put the mask on and go in, or you can go home or go somewhere else. Like, I don't think we're going to get anywhere if it's just kind of up to you sort of thing.
Well,
Like,
again, this is exactly where I'm aiming this whole. If COVID is anything to go by, when it becomes painfully obvious that climate change is going to kill millions and millions of people. Bangladesh, if sea levels rise, Bangladesh is gone. This is a country that dwarfs the size of the UK and Ireland. If you can imagine,
easily.
Florida and
Des does gaming.
hey, Des does gaming. If you can imagine Florida and South Carolina, for those in the US, if you imagine Florida and South Carolina, the entire population of there, along with the entire population of New York, having to move because it just doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Right? That kind of movement, and that's just one of the places that's done. Japan is going to lose, even with sea level rise of 1 meter, we're talking about 40% of their landmass. Right? We're talking Florida's gone. There is no Florida. With 1 meter sea level rise, Florida's gone. It will wash away. I mean, it's a sandbar. There is no solid ground underneath Florida. Florida is not a good place to buy land for in the next 100 years, next 200 years. Florida's gone. Right? We have acquired a sassy harmonics, beautiful lady herself. And if the COVID crisis is anything to go by, when this climate crisis really hits home, we're going to have huge swathes of the population who are like, oh, it's fine, it's all made up, it's not real, as they're moving all their luggage into their car to drive somewhere else because their house is flooded because sea levels have risen. We're going to have people who are like, oh well, it's fine, it'll fix itself, as we have literally lost of every single species that has gone extinct in human knowledge, right? Every single species that has gone extinct in human knowledge, 60% of those have gone extinct because of human activity.
Yeah, sorry to jump in, but have you seen David Attenborough's new documentary on Netflix.
No.
I think it's called My Witness Statement.
No.
And he basically covers from when he started documenting wildlife in his 20s all the way up to now, and he's what, 95? And he was saying, like, it shows the different stages of everything he's seen between then and now. And it is absolutely amazing to see the difference between when he started, there was about 3 billion people on the planet. Now we're what, 7, 8 billion?
Coming up to 7 billion. Coming up to
yeah. Like the amount of places that we destroyed just since he started. What had we done before he started?
Oh yeah.
Like it's astronomical the amount of species that we've killed off just because we want space somewhere or we want some resources or whatever.
See, what I have noticed with humanity, and I'm not including all of humanity because there are some people that have fought to make a difference, but it's all about, as you said, the space and resources. Those are the two biggest things. And if they can get it in, if they can get it, they will do. They do not think of the consequences. I mean, how many animals that are now extinct or are going extinct are because humanity wanted a part of their body that, for example, tusks, rhino horn, fur. It's all about what they can get, and they don't think about what it's doing to the ecosystem in the long run, how it's going to affect the future in the long run, because these animals are here for a reason. They are keeping things in check by being predator, prey. There is a relationship, symbiosis. Yeah, a balance. And we are slowly, well, we are very quickly shifting the balance to a point where it cannot be fixed.
A classic example of balance is the lions in the Serengeti. Now, this is something that I know from a recent show by David Attenborough and a recent interview with David Attenborough. When he first went in the 1940s to film the lions in the Serengeti, they'd done extensive research into why lions didn't just go wild, eat everything that was around, and reproduce, and then just keep spreading like humanity and just keep going, right? Because let's face it, if a lion fucking wants to, a lion could quite easily, overrun a city. It could a big enough pride of lions could quite easily overrun huge swathes of wildlife without any issues whatsoever. So they wanted to know why lions didn't. Was it that they were breeding slower? Was it that they just tended to stay to set areas? And what they found is that what the lions did is when there was plentiful food, they'd breed more. When food was not as plentiful, they'd breed less. When there was very little food around, they'd move on and leave an area. They'd leave, a herd of zebras alone. Even though they were starving, they'd move on to another area, knowing that herd of zebras, if they attacked them and killed their young, that's it. There's no food next year. This idea of built-in symbiosis. Lemmings. Everyone jokes, oh yeah, lemmings jump off a cliff. They jump off a cliff when there's too many lemmings. Everyone jokes that, oh, maybe we should get rid of health and safety. Weed out some of the dumb people. Well, to a large extent, that's...
There'd be very few people left.
There'd be very few people left. And maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing in some ways. To go dark side on us, let's face it, as devil's advocate, I say fuck it. Let's just help it along a little. But no,
It's like
it's
you're the Thanos of
Thanos is
languages.
the villain,
So,
but
yep,
he's
that's
not
what I
wrong.
just said.
yeah, he was the villain, but he wasn't wrong. I just think he did it wrong. He didn't quite go far enough. 50% isn't enough. With the amount of people in the world at the moment. Zeph says, "I'll have fun collecting the Infinity Stones." Yes, you will. You know, and he'll have fun collecting the bodies as well. He is a body mover. That is his job. He moves dead bodies around for fun. Well, not for fun, for a job. He doesn't just find dead bodies, pick them up, and move them about. Yeah, he meant the bodies. But no, you know, we can't leave the responsibility up to, as I said, you cannot leave the responsibility of climate change and the climate crisis, the impending climate crisis, or the COVID situation up to private interests, because private interests will not police themselves.
No, they only want to make profit.
They only want to make profit. And those private interests,
pushing renewable resources like solar or wind or even hydropowers because there's no money in it
yet.
Right.
California is a prime example of how that's not actually correct. California, that invested in renewable energy while the governor was there, is now is literally the richest state in the US. In fact, makes more money than the next the next three states added together in the US, and that includes Washington and New York. I mean,
it makes sense. He was in a movie about the apocalypse.
Yeah,
he's seen it coming.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that we've all seen it coming. We've just, a lot of us have, an awful lot of us, stuck our heads in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And, are quite happy to.
Very much into a dystopian future. I mean, you just have to look at Cyberpunk and Observer and games like that to see how true they are and how quickly we're going down that road and with no return.
I think that Hollywood has been very prophetic in many ways. You look at movies like V for Vendetta, happened in the year 2020. A lot of these movies where these nasty viruses and things like that, and the dystopian futures happened right around this time. Mad Max, for example, happened in I think 2021.
Frankie's got to head on. He's
Okay,
got
Frankie.
start tomorrow.
Sleep well, Frankie. Good luck with work tomorrow. Thank you very much for dropping by. Thank you very much for being here, Frankie.
Thank you for letting me be here with you all.
Oh, we're always happy to have you here.
We love it.
But
and then, of course, you can look to literature. 1985.
Yeah, Frankie.
1984.
Animal Farm. It almost seems as though private industry and government, it's like they're using it as a handbook.
Oh yeah, that's one that Operator Death will absolutely jump on and point out, that we are heading towards 1984. We are heading towards that kind of thought police.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a matter of time before a government realizes that they can release a computer game, set suggestions in that computer game. For instance, let's say Watchdog Legion is doing it, right? You're given a choice as a player. Do you support the government, or do you support this group or that group, right? And you're given that choice in a game. We already know that games collect data on everything we do in them. What's to say, in something like Watchdog Legions, they don't collect that data and go, right, well, now we know how this person's going to be when the shit hits the fan. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a game as on the nose as Watchdog Legions. World of Warcraft. How many people in World of Warcraft, Neb,
Oh,
chose the to go with the Horde.
The Alliance. How many are Horde?
Yeah, how many are
Yeah.
Alliance? How many are Horde?
I'm
You know.
both.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the biggest industry right now is, right? Metadata.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what every company is vying for. That's why, you think about something, and the next thing you know, an ad for it pops up on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spying on you, listening to what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
TikTok. Everyone's going on about TikTok. Oh, well, TikTok's spying on you. TikTok's only the latest in a long line of
Yeah,
things that are
they've been doing
spying
that
on
for a
you.
very long time.
I mean, I dare you to write in chat on Twitch that you're thinking of buying a laptop and see how many fucking adverts you get for a laptop in the next fucking 2 weeks.
Go and check your Facebook now, Eli, and see, after you saying laptop, how many ads are there for
Yeah.
your laptop.
Oh, yeah.
It's faster than that. My brother and I were talking through text. He's teaching my niece how to play Magic the Gathering. And I said, well, you should check Wish. They sell huge boxes of common cards for like $6. As we were going through that conversation, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and on Wish, the first thing that pops up is bulk box of common Magic cards. I screenshot it and sent it to him, and I said, they're not listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, instantaneous. It couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah, as Des says, speak it out loud when you're near your phone. Shit, we've got a certain Almalexia in the room listening to us right now.
She will.
And she just chimes in sometimes, without direct questions to her. And Microsoft, let's face it, you're currently on a Kinect camera right there. Right, that is a Kinect camera. That's the only camera I had lying around. But that thing was literally built to collect metadata.
Yeah.
It was built to collect physical metadata. That Kinect sensor that's up there can tell you my blood pressure. It can tell you my heart rate just from looking at me. It can tell you my emotional state. Do you really think Microsoft didn't keep that information and, use it and sell it?
Yeah. I mean, you think about Google and, the GPS features of your phone. They know exactly where you go, where you shop, what you buy. All that data is there. That's why I laugh at my job where, people call in and say, I think I've been hacked. What I want to say is, you have.
Yeah.
We've all been hacked, you moron.
Yeah. You've all passed your information on.
What I want to say is all of your information, your credit cards, your social security number, everything, it's out there if someone wants it. But you're not important enough. They don't give a fuck.
When I was at university, one of the things I studied was something called the Panopticon. It was written by this guy called Jeremy Bentham, and he basically said that it doesn't matter what environment you're in, whether you're in a school, you're in a jail, you're at home, you're out in the world, someone is always watching you. And it's the same as you said with your credit card details, various, other things, health insurance. Everyone in this world is being watched by someone or some
Someone's
group or
watching you.
another.
Right.
Yeah.
At all times.
Exactly.
Everywhere you go, someone is watching you. In some cases, there is a duck watching you.
Well, the big conspiracy in the U.S., birds aren't real. They're just drones.
Yeah. All right, now that we've got a lot of our American friends here. I didn't show them a duck, no. Yeah, there is a duck watching us right now. In fact, I can prove there is a duck watching us right now.
Do you have a nanny cam?
It's sat watching the television next to Nitty's screen. There is a duck watching us right now.
I love
She
it.
has 4 of them watching the television at any one time. There is always a duck watching you, especially with how much I lurk. Can I just throw that out there that it's rare that the toxic lurker himself can toxically lurk on his own channel.
Well, Eli, now I need you to make me a duck emote for lurking.
A duck emote for lurking. Done. Yes. And there is an elephant watching as well. There's actually multiple elephants watching. There's all those elephants back there watching. There's some more elephants there watching. And, we've got all sorts of things sitting watching. And another one over there. And an owl. And a night owl in chat watching as well. So you've got to be careful.
Yes.
Be careful.
The night owl's always watching.
Yeah, he's always watching. He's just he's sitting there with his finger over that clip button, just waiting. It's like, I'm going to do something. Any moment. Clip! I got it! Sassy blew milk out of her nose!
He totally would, too.
Larka says, I went through Los Angeles morgue quacking. Yes. Well, I mean, why not, right? Yes. Okay, Attitude, thank you for dropping by, sir. Very much appreciate it. So yeah, now that all our American friends are here, I want to throw out. I don't know why I suddenly started talking like this, but anyway, I want to throw out a happy Thanksgiving to all our American friends. We hope that you stuffed yourselves. We hope that you got to spend time with those that you consider family. Thank you for the hydrate attitude. Hydrating. We hope that you also managed to score some wicked Black Friday deals. We didn't, because Amazon decided to take Amazon Prime out of our account without telling us.
No.
Yeah, so we were all like, oh yeah, we're okay, we're sorted. And then I went and checked the bank account on Friday and it said 0. And I'm like, wait, what? Why? No, there should be money in there. No.
Nope, something's off. Yeah. I don't really do Black Friday shopping.
No.
Mostly because I work Black Friday and I've kind of really come to hate Black Friday because of just how people are generally. It's unbelievable. You see like true human scum when you're doing customer service like Black Friday. It is awful. Even this Black Friday, like even though like it's online, I'm working from home, it was still just as ridiculous for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, working in customer service this long, I kind of just veto Black Friday shopping. Unfortunately, Rock does not like it. Yeah, because Rock loves looking for Black Friday deals.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't really have any real deals. They're all like not. I mean, like the ones that we had at work, like they're really not any different from what we would typically otherwise offer. So, and honestly, like the sale or whatever, like when stuff is already marked down, still not that crazy from what I see through the rest of the year. So I don't really see a point in Black Friday shopping, but.
As someone who had friends working in retail, specifically in the end of retail where they set prices, I can tell you that from about August up until Black Friday, they increase the price slowly. Things get more and more expensive, and the price is just quietly increased. Things are done. Usual sales that they have are not put in place. Shops throughout the year do 10% off, 20% off. Leading up to Black Friday, they stop. They stop all sales. Nothing happens. It's just slowly raising that price And then when Black Friday comes, they drop it to the normal price and say, "Here's a sale."
It's a sale. Yeah, it's a total mind game. It
Yeah.
totally is.
There was a store over here in Coleraine that had a closing down sale for 12 years.
That's like a bookshop we have around here. I'm not even joking. It's been like that for the last year. All books, 3, 5, or 7 euro. And I'm not joking.
Words
Since
mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we're having a closing down sale. Everything must go. For 12 years? I mean, you must have had a lot of shit to sell.
Fair enough. That's how you make money. But I mean, everything must go.
Yeah. I mean, what? Do you, under normal circumstances, do you have all these clothes lying around and you're like, no, you're not allowed to buy this. We're keeping this. This is to sit on the shelves. What do you mean? We're not here to sell you clothes.
Sometimes what people think that we do when we say something's on back order, and I'm like, no, that's not really how it works. That's
yes.
really funny though.
Night Owl is correct. Another classic is to say, oh yes, we're doing a 60% off sale. Limited supplies while stocks last.
While supplies last.
Always.
So, you know, we actually only had one, and the branch manager bought that one on sale.
Yeah, that shop, it was called D2 Jeans, and even when we moved out the area and we'd go back every year or so to visit your parents, or we had some meeting or something up there, the shop was always there, and then saying that there was a sale going on. And that one year we went, we jokingly said, "Oh, I wonder if they've still got a sale going on." The shop wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, they'd actually closed down. We were like, holy shit, they finally closed down after 12 years. Jesus.
So technically, they weren't lying.
Yeah, it was just a really long closing down sale. Yeah, and then they opened up in Derry. And they've got a store in Derry. And the store in Derry says closing down sale.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, it obviously works for them.
Works.
It works, yeah.
It works.
Oh,
I mean, literally, if you went to an abattoir and said, we're doing a sale at the abattoir, we will chop one of your nuts off for 50% off the normal price, somebody would fucking turn up and they'd be like, what? I'm here. 50% off? I'll take it. You know, people.
I would take my cat and say, I'll take 2.
Yeah. Yeah, people are stupid with sales. It really is madness. But in relation to Thanksgiving, did anyone discover any amazing recipes while they were cooking for your Stuff Yourself Day?
I discovered Uber Eats.
Discovered Uber Eats.
Fair enough.
I was home alone doing the bachelor thing, and I was like, I don't want to cook. Bring me a sub.
I'm familiar with that one. We just brushed up on just how to smoke a whole turkey inside of our smoker, like for how long and stuff, and it actually turned out pretty decent. We left it in there like a teeny tiny bit too long, but it still tasted great. A Cajun turkey from Oh, dude, what? I bought a Cajun turkey from Popeyes. That sounds awesome.
You actually told me you were going to buy one from Popeyes. How did it turn out, Laka?
That sounds awesome. Turkey smoking is using brine. We did a dry brine. So that is what we did, is a dry brine.
That does sound good, though.
It still tasted like super good.
What's
like
a
dry
brine?
So a dry brine is essentially like a really heavily salted seasoning that it's kind of like a rub, but it has a lot more salt. Because the purpose of that is that it's going to draw that moisture out and essentially just like I'm trying to think of like what the right word would be, but it's basically an osmosis reaction. So essentially all of the like seasoned portion of it is being drawn in while water is being drawn out of
Right.
the bird. So with a dry brine, so essentially it kind of dry ages a little bit, like you lose some of the moisture, so the meat is more flavorful that way because there's less water plus whatever seasonings you put in it. Wet brines, yeah, it is like 100% an osmosis reaction. Night Owl did an apple juice slash cider ginger ale and a bunch of other odds and ends soaked for 10-hour brine. Ooh, that sounds great. Ginger ale. I love like allspice and ginger together. So good.
What about the one that you do for when we
The
have?
gammon, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, we do this thing over here. Hello, LTS. Welcome to the stream.
Hi, LTS.
Hello.
We do this. I don't do it very often because it's incredibly decadent. But we get a gammon, right? And Neb will know what I'm talking about when we say we get one of those big gammons.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Americans, you call them hams. We call them gammons, right? They are a separate thing, right? We get a gammon, and we've got this massive pot. It's like that big by like that wide, right? Massive pot. And what we do is we get tropical juice and we get pineapple, fresh pineapple chopped up. We get spices and chili and ginger and black pepper and yeah, that's when I put it in the actual oven, the clothes. But we put it in the pot and say the gammon's got to be cooked total to be fully cooked. It's got to be cooked for 4 hours for the sake of argument, right? What I'll do is we'll do the gammon for 2 hours in the big pot, boiling, right, with all these flavored waters and all the different spices and stuff. Then we'll take the gammon out, stick it on a roasting tray, poke holes in the gammon all over the top, and stick cloves into the top of the gammon. Then we'll scoop out the pineapple and stuff, and we'll put the pineapple onto that on top of the gammon, right? And then we pour about a quarter of the juice into the roasting tray with the gammon, and then put the whole thing in the oven covered in tin foil. And we do that for another 2 hours, right, on a high heat. Then we do it for an extra 20 minutes, taking the tin foil off so that it gets a chance to brown and really dry on the top. And every time we've done it, the gammon, it melts in your mouth. Like you put fork in it, you cut it, and it will cut, and you'll get this lovely slice of ham, like a gammon steak, a steak-sized piece of ham. And then you'll start cutting into it, and you'll put it in your mouth, and it just goes in your mouth. Yeah, sorry, Des. I'm really sorry. I'm making myself hungry. It really is just.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ben's looking at the dog like, I wonder if I stuck you in the oven. Yes, we'll have to do it again. But that one is fantastic, and that's usually done with we have stuff. We get stuffing, turkey stuffing, and wrap it in bacon, and then put the turkey stuffing wrapped in bacon in the oven as well. And oh man, there's something deeply decadent about that. And roast potatoes and roast vegetables and
Yorkshire puds.
and Yorkshire puddings.
You cannot have any of that without Yorkshire puds.
Good old Yorkshire.
Oh my God, Yorkshire
Now
puds
y'all are just making
and
everybody
gravy.
hungry.
Sorry. Sorry, this is currently the food section at the moment. Just
Oh, okay.
trying to find out
We've
what
moved
sort
on to
of.
the food portion of
Yeah,
the
Rock and I
GGS.
are also
Gotcha.
talking about dinner right now too, so it's like perfect.
Yeah.
We just wanted to know what you guys have usually for Thanksgiving and how you do the turkey, and then we were talking about because we
Recipes and cooking.
yeah,
and
recipes
stuff.
and stuff, which I will be
Ah.
creating a section in Discord very
For recipes.
now for
Yeah.
recipes.
We don't usually do turkey because Lily won't eat it. She's weirded out by the whole giant bird in the oven thing. So
Mm.
so we don't usually do turkey.
Yeah,
We
I'm.
usually do the same thing every year or so.
Yeah, what is it you do?
There isn't a lot of variety because, you know, you have child that they get stuck on things. I mean, she's usually really good about trying new stuff. For the most part, our big holiday meal, all the same.
Guys, I've got to step away. I have to run to the store before the wife and kids get home.
Okay,
But I'll
Ew,
still be.
adulting.
Okay.
We'll be here. Thank you for
All
dropping
right.
by, dude.
See you later.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a recipe section now.
Yeah, we have a recipe section.
Ah, awesome.
So everyone can place their recipes and make everyone else hungry. Please post pictures if you make something awesome.
Yes.
Post pictures. Include that in the recipe
maybe,
section.
Maybe I should write
Discord.
that down in the thing.
Yes, one of my other student favorites is we used to get the ramen packets. And you get packets of ramen when they've usually got like a flavor packet in them. We'd get one of those and crush up the dried ramen right in the packet. Take the flavor packet out. We would get a big wok. We would put some olive oil in the wok. Bring that up to temperature. Then add something called mango pickle, which is an Indian spicy pickle that's got a lot of mango in it. Put that in there and start moving that around in the oil. Then we would add the dried ramen to that and move that around and get that cooking until the dried ramen started to brown slightly, to go golden. Then we would add sweet corn, marrowfat peas, which are the big chunky peas, right? Really big, hardy, thick peas. None of these little tiny petit pois, little tiny peas. These are big peas, right? Big peas. We like big peas.
Very passionate about the peas.
Yeah, very, very passionate about the peas. Red kidney beans, jalapenos, and then get that going, right? And mixing around and cooking, and then once that's done, you'd sprinkle over the flavor packet of the ramen without any water at all, right? Mix that all together, put it into bowls, and then sprinkle fresh lemon juice over the top of that. And in terms of a student meal that's cheap, I mean, the ramen packet, you're talking 10 cents, right? Cheapest, grottiest, nastiest ramen you can buy in the shop, right? 10 cents. You're talking a tin of marrowfat peas, which is 10 cents. You're talking a tin of red kidney beans, which is 15 cents. You're talking a tin of sweet corn, which is 20 cents. You're talking, half a pot of jalapenos, and that's probably the most expensive thing at $1, right? And you'd mixed all that together with a little bit of fresh lemon in there, and oh man, it was cheap, it was cheerful, but it ticked all of the boxes for food. It had got vitamin C, it had got the vitamin D, it had got pulses, it had got carbohydrates, it had got fat in there, it had got citric acid from the lemon.
It's got fiber.
It's got fiber. It's good for fiber. You.
Yes.
It's not. It's also incredibly salty. It's really, really bad for you.
And for people afraid of MSG, there's MSG in there too.
Oh, fuck loads of MSG. This is ramen flavoring.
Yep.
Oh, we did this cheap pie as a student as well. Oh my god, yeah.
Cheap pie.
Cheap pie. We call it cheap pie. What you do is you make a dough as though you're making a bread, right? So you've got this dough that you'd normally turn into bread. You line a deep pie dish with it, right? You then put on red kidney beans and marifat peas, tin tomatoes chopped up, sweet corn, jalapenos. You'd sprinkle on mashed potato powder. You know the powder you get, the really cheap smash, we call it over here. Neville knows smash down
They're
in
basically potato flakes.
yeah, the
Common
potato
over here.
flakes. Yeah, it's just potato flakes. You mix it. You mix that all around and put it into the pie. Then you put the rest of the bread over the top of that, and just stick it in the oven. And the dough rises and turns into bread kind of stuff, and the filling cooks, and you end up with this really cheap pie. And for a packet of flour and a bit of butter and a bit of milk, a bit of yeast, and all those things, you're talking less than $3 to make it, and you've got a meal that's going to last you 2-3 days. And when you're a student, we were very poor at the time, and we were living on 50p a week at one point. That's 75 cents a week, and that was hard going. We did that for about 3 months, and so we got very creative.
When you're broke, you got to be creative.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, I
There's no
mean,
other
like
way to be.
I grew up in a really poor household, so yeah, there would be times when my parents were like, whatever, we're doing munchie night, which is them basically saying, hey, you're on your own tonight.
Yeah.
And so we didn't
As a
have
fend
that
for
much.
yourself, because
And yeah, I got really creative with how to stretch my money as far as possible. A lot of things that I would do, I would use a lot of instant ramen. I would use a lot of eggs because eggs were decently cheap. At least like the caged eggs. I don't buy those anymore, but the caged eggs, like you can get like a dozen for like $1.50 at my grocery store. So and like so like I'd use a lot of eggs. I'd use like for protein, especially really really cheap protein. And I would also use a lot of rice. So I'd use basically like in tortillas as well. Tortillas, like I could always get pretty cheaply.
man,
So
I can
basically I
put
get
anything
creative
in a
with all that.
tortilla and make my kid eat it. Like,
Yep.
what? Leftover spaghetti, put it in a tortilla. Spaghetti burrito. There you go. And she'll eat the shit out of it. She doesn't
I
care.
love it. Oh my god. That's a great way to have leftovers, man. Like
Yeah, just take the leftovers, throw some cheese in it, put it in a tortilla. Ta-da, you have a meal.
That's what I
Tortilla,
should do with the rest of my leg meat for turkey because Rock won't eat it.
tortilla,
Just throw tortilla and cheese.
Yes.
And
banana, right? Tortilla, banana,
Mhm.
drinking chocolate powder, fold it over, put in the microwave for a minute.
Ooh.
Simple, easy, and it ticks all the boxes.
That and
That
that, and
sounds
when you do
so
that, then you can
satisfying.
take you can take a little bit of brandy and some butter and put it in a pan and set that bitch on fire. Then you have bananas Foster in a little pie.
I love that.
Don't know anything.
Set that bitch on fire.
That's right. Set that bitch on
I
fire.
love you. I love you, LTS. It's great.
Yeah,
If we
just do
can't
it
set
real
it on
slow.
fire, hit it with the hammer, we're not happy, right?
Right.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so like that stuff all sounds actually amazing right now. Just cuz like I don't know, there's something about cheap like struggle meals that are kind of almost nostalgic to a point also. So not only is it like it tastes really good, it's also like, oh, I remember when I used to eat these. It's kind of like it's a little bit of like the best of both worlds.
I had this little machine as a teenager. They called it a snack master.
Snack
And yes, and you would like take it you would stick bread in it and then put whatever toppings you wanted on the bread and then stick another piece of bread on top and it made these little pockets.
Toasted sandwich. Yeah, that we
Oh,
have
I
those.
think I've seen those before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
here
I
they're
still
called.
have one. It
Yeah,
still works.
yeah, over here they're
It's
called
old as hell.
sandwich toasty machines,
Toasty
and
machine.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
just
what
a
they call
toasty machine.
Oh, a toasting machine.
Yeah, Neb knows what I'm talking about, man.
Some
There's
ham and cheese,
yeah, ham and
Yep.
cheese. Throw in, just anything you
bit of
wanted
black
in those
pepper.
things. Oh
Oh
man,
yeah.
Like I
yeah.
used to, when I was a kid, I would put peanut butter in it and like a little piece of a Hershey bar
Mm.
Yes.
and
Now we're thinking
toast
with
that
portals.
sucker up. I would
Yes.
take some of those, the canned biscuits, the can,
Mm-hmm.
you pop it on the counter, and
Yeah.
take those and you'd like smash it and make it kind of flat, and then stick it in a little toasty machine, and then throw peanut butter and a tiny piece of a Hershey bar in there.
Oh,
I have pie.
oh,
Mhm. Now
10 out of 10 LTS.
here,
Oh,
here,
I need one now.
here is the bit that really sets those. If you get one of those toasty machines, right, the one that really sets it apart is if you butter the outside of the bread.
That's the
When-
only way to do it.
It's the
Oh yeah,
only
because
way.
then it
Yeah,
gets all crispy and
it
Oh,
gets all
crunchy
crispy.
inside.
crispy, and if you sprinkle some sugar on that as well, and it caramelizes on the outside of the bread, and
And then it's all
oh,
sweet and
and
yummy.
then it's
You
all
guys are like,
so bad for
tastes.
you.
But
Oh,
it
You guys are
tastes
like, you guys
so
are giving my
good.
stomach a boner right now, like for real.
I'm really getting hungry.
Like
She's
I'm
getting a
feeling it, and
stomach
I'm just
boner.
like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, Neb wasn't thinking about eating his dog, but the more we talk about this, the more he's thinking of eating his dog.
I had a KFC at like 5, half 5. It's
Mm.
now 25 to 12, and I am getting
Mildly
really hungry
peckish.
listening to this.
I mean, I have like a half-eaten thing of tacos, but I was gonna save that for lunch tomorrow.
Hmm.
If you want, we could change the subject.
Yeah, we
No,
could
I
move
love
on.
talking about food. I can
No.
always talk about food. Like,
So she's like, no,
I will
no.
I just don't want Neb to
Eat his dog. Yeah.
loose.
No, stop. We must continue to talk about food. This is my
I'm
favorite
like,
subject.
don't stop on my behalf because I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I can change the subject for like 3 seconds.
Go ahead.
Guess what I just
Yeah.
got?
What you got?
What?
I just got Necros Prime.
Yay!
Us.
Congratulations.
You know, I was looking for Necros Prime for you today in the marketplace. Yeah, they were charging an awful lot of money, and I got
I
very angry
know.
with people.
I know. I've been there
Mhm.
so many times.
I
Oh my
nearly
God, y'all want
nearly
so much and I don't
unleashed.
have it.
I nearly unleashed the wrath of B-mom on the masses.
Mhm.
Uh-oh. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was in Maru's Bazaar and this guy had it. And I'm like, how much do you want for that? And he's like, what do you have? I'm like, well, I don't have any platinum, but I've got a bunch of random prime pieces. He's like, show me what you got. And so I popped up the ones I had up there and he's like, deal, here you go.
Aw,
Oh, that's nice of
And
there
him.
it
are
was
some
all
very
just
nice people.
it was all just extra pieces that I had already had like copies of. So
Mm.
I didn't need any of it.
Nice.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
sweet, I have no.
Yeah, nice.
That is awesome. I am so glad.
Okay, now to change the subject entirely, it's that time of year. Nights are depressingly fucking long,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
right? Especially for us in the Northern Hemisphere. Good fucking lord, nights are fucking long right now. I don't know about you guys, but it gets dark at around about 3:30 here.
Yep, 3:30 or
Whoa.
4, it's already
And
dark.
it's not light until about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
5:30 here now and it's been dark for like an hour and a half.
yeah,
Yeah, it's 4:30
we went
over
dark at 2
here,
this
and the
afternoon.
sun is
Great.
basically setting over here.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's getting dark. It's that time of year, so we're not getting the vitamin D we should be getting. as gamers, we're
All I want to do
especially
is sleep constantly.
as gamers
Remember to take your supplements.
we're especially not getting the vitamin D that we're supposed to be getting.
Because we don't go outside.
Nitty is brown skinned, so she gets very little of the vitamin D at any time of year.
She probably has an increased need anyway.
Yeah. Now I'm
Surprisingly, though, when we had our vitamin D levels checked, yes, we were both under target, but Eli was
way
crazily under
worse.
target, even worse than I was.
Well, that's because much like me, Eli is pasty white.
Yeah, but the thing is that people who are ginger haired actually produce their own vitamin D to a certain extent, to a small degree. They actually, part of the genetic change that causes your hair to be red actually causes you to produce vitamin D for your body in small amounts.
I want to look into that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun research topic for
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really weird. It's also why people with red hair generally have higher pain tolerance as well.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, it's literally genetic. It's literally, people with red hair have higher pain tolerance. People with red hair produce their own vitamin D to a small degree. It's only small amounts of vitamin D, but they produce vitamin D. And we also burn like Dracula in sunlight. Foof.
Like the weird thing
like
about
some
me,
evolutionary thing because you can't go out in the sun.
Yeah.
It's like, no, run away.
Yeah.
I'll make my own vitamin D.
Yeah. Screw you, son.
Until I was in my mid 30s, I had just bright, shiny red hair. And I got really sick when I was like 36 or so, and I had to have surgery. I was in the hospital for a long time. They had to shave my head because I had like split my head open, and they had to like sew my head up. So they shaved my head. When my hair came back, it's brown.
Wow.
Yeah, my hair has definitely gotten close to the brown mark. Like you can't see it right now.
My eyebrows and stuff are still red. It's just the hair on top of my head that's brown.
Yeah, same here. Like my beard is fiery red. You can't really see it in the light in the camera, but it's red. Don't eat my beard. She's threatening to eat my beard again. She does it every day. She's like, nom 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 nom. Oh no, it's a naked Rockwar. Rockwar, put some pants on. Hugs for Rockwar. Hugs for Rockwar. But yeah, so yeah, my beard hair is red, like undeniably red. My eyebrows undeniably red. The hair on my head, although you can't really see it because I've shaved it all off today, is like it's as brown as brown hair. You know what I mean? Like it's brown hair. And it's really weird. When I was a kid, my head hair, like here, was just like as red as my shirt. Like I'm not kidding. Like my hair was as
when
red
you went out
as
in
my
the
shirt.
sun and the sun hit it, it would look like your head was on fire.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, like
that's
crazy.
how mine was.
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy. It's like with babies. When babies are first born, most babies have blue eyes when they're first born.
Lily had the whitest blonde hair when she was born. Like it was so white, it was almost transparent. And now hers is kind of gone like a brownish blonde with little red streaks in it.
I was born with black hair actually, and then it turned like white, basically white. So I don't know how that's a thing. But I have like baby pictures.
By the way, Sassy, I like your shirt.
Oh, thanks. Do you like GDQ?
Do I like what? No, I just like your shirt.
Oh, you just like it? Oh, I got it at a Twitch event actually.
Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those bigger charities. It's just like GDQ or AGDQ, SGDQ, whichever one you go to. Yeah, like they get like a ton of flack, but also a ton of support at the same time. So, like, there's a lot of haters for it out there, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's a good stream. Marathoning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of just speed running stuff. Like, I just enjoy it, and we buy shirts from the event. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, moving on, because it is the time of year that our physical health takes more of a hit because we tend to spend more time indoors. And this year it's
Because
been
we're
even
cold and it's
fucking
dark.
worse than most other years because we've been already spending more time indoors. So we've spent more time indoors. So people at home, please look after your physical health, look after your mental health. It's a rough time of year for everybody. It's not easy. It's not easy to do it. It's not easy to say it's cold. I'm going to get up and do something to keep myself active.
My daughter has gotten to where lately she runs around the house. She's like, I'm exercising. She'll go from her room down the hall, through the kitchen, through the living room, back to her room, and just make big circles.
Did he said use them legs? I'm standing up, using them legs. Look, legs. Got two of them. Yep, using them. They're there, being used. I have legs. I'm using them. I promise. I don't just float everywhere. That's nitty.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Because Nitty, you better stop that floating. There's no floating in Eli's bureau.
Yeah. No. Only people with set passes are allowed to float, and Nitty's allowed to float. So nah.
Okay, Nitty.
Yeah, Nitty's
Gotcha.
always allowed to float. See, even floofs get to float occasionally. You know.
Yeah, just like Temmie did just now.
Mm-hmm.
He's your puppy.
It says, I smell tacos around here. I smell nachos. Is
Yep.
there nachos?
Yep.
I smell nachos. Can I have
She
nachos?
stuck her nose up here, so I was like, okay, you can come up and say hello.
Yeah. Oh, he's a floof.
Love the floof.
Mm-hmm.
She's so like surprisingly nonchalant with most things. This is just her like neutral, but she will stay like this. She's surprisingly patient for a dog.
Some dogs are. Some dogs
Yeah,
are
she's very
placid.
patient.
Yeah.
I know you're.
My two aren't anything like that.
My other dog isn't like that at all. He is not patient.
Like, we have 2 cats, and they are so weird because, like, me and my wife can yell at them or swat them to get them off the counter or, keep them from doing something they're not supposed to be doing. They will not listen to us for anything. My daughter can walk in the room and go, no, and they immediately stop. Apparently, she's the alpha cat.
It's because she's related to Uncle Eli.
Mm-hmm. Nitty says it's because she's
Is that what
related
it
to me.
is?
Yeah, she's related to me. Yeah. Now, seeing as it is that time of year and mental health takes a hit, physical health takes a hit, the nights are fucking endless. Is there any music that you guys find that you end up listening to during the winter more than say during the summer months? Do you listen to more music during the winter or more music during the summer? What is your
I listen
preferred?
to music constantly.
We do too.
It
doesn't matter.
Yeah, like if I don't get music in my life, then like what's the point?
Like,
yeah, I have headphones on
really?
constantly.
Like in the wintertime, I have a cassette tape of my mom singing, and it's all
that's
Christmas
true.
songs.
I mean,
and so
is that kombucha?
I play it constantly.
Ooh, that's another reason to live other than music, I would say.
Passion fruit flavored kombucha.
Oh, passion fruit.
I've been really listening to. If we're not listening to our select metal list on YouTube, I've been listening to bands such as Waldruna, Rotting Christ, Insomnium, a couple of Mongolian bands been listening to. But if there's one song that I can recommend because it's just so powerful, I'm gonna put it in. Come on.
Helvegen.
Yes. I just got to be able to spell it.
Wardruna. You didn't spell Wardruna.
That is how you spell it. Wardruna.
You didn't put DR. You put
Oh, did I?
WARDUNA.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't see.
There you go. That's
I
okay.
can't see.
This is why you have me.
Mm-hmm.
I am your seeing cat,
That's
seeing
just
eye
why
cat.
you keep me around.
I've eaten
Mhm.
nearly a whole box of these now.
Eating a whole box of what? What are you eating? Matchmakers. Oh my god. Oh my.
It's got munchies, huh?
Yeah, they're
Mint chocolate sticks.
yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
No, keep them away
mint
from me.
chocolate sticks of biscuit kind of
They're
material.
like Pocky sticks.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
But
like
keep
Pocky
them
Stick. That sounds addictive.
Keep them away from me because I will eat them.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
I'll feel sick afterwards. Ah.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a brand new packet. There's less than half left.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
what
that.
Yeah.
happens with
Well,
me.
it's a good job that chocolate is good for you.
Yeah, I'm not too worried.
At the moment, you're just sitting there thinking, sugar, carbohydrates.
It has a mental benefit. The constant reward
We'll
from
go
your
with that.
brain saying, yes, glucose, thank you. Please
Yeah.
give it to me.
We'll go with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, chocolate is good for you. I mean, that's been clinically proven. But
I like
chocolate is a
chocolate.
vegetable.
Delicious.
Cacao specifically.
Chocolate is a vegetable, so it's medicine. It's fine.
How do you
Did
make
you
a
know that pizza
milkshake?
is considered a vegetable here?
I want to ask you a question. How do you make a milkshake? To which I will answer, you put a cow on a trampoline.
Smart.
Please
And with
tell me
that-
please tell me it comes out like steamed or something for my coffee. That would be amazing.
Mhm.
From
What,
all
you're going
of
to
that
boil the
swishing.
cow? You evil woman.
It's body temperature, girl.
Yeah, what she's talking about is genetically modifying cows so that their internal body temperature is around about 100 degrees Celsius.
You're going to turn them into
They
a
can handle it, it's
milk-creating
fine.
dragon.
Yeah, a milk dragon. Yeah, a milk dragon. Yeah, so instead of breathing
Milk
fire, it
dragon
breathes
sounds awesome.
steamed milk.
It's like in fantasy stories, you can have like super smart dragons that just want a job, so they work as like a cafe, just like steamed milk for coffee. Like, here you go. Some of those woke dragons that want to make money.
Smaug.
Well, how else are they going to
Smaug, yeah.
build their treasure trove?
Right? Gotta work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not one of these dragons that just gets given a pile of gold. Oh no.
My parents didn't have a pile of gold that I could just inherit.
There wasn't just some castle lying around that I went and sat on and it had a pile of gold in it. No, I had to work for my pile of gold. But
I love that whole debate in a fantasy environment. That's amazing.
But yes, so the other thing is that it's also the time of year where some really crappy games come out.
Yeah,
I have been impressed so far.
Yeah?
Yep. Still yet to play Destiny 2, the DLC.
Beyond Light, yeah.
But so far with the new World of Warcraft expansion and Assassin's Creed and Legion, Watch Dogs. I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah, I keep seeing Watchdog Legion, and if we got the money, I'd probably get it, but we don't have the money, so we're not getting it yet.
I got it on Ubisoft Uplay for
Right.
PC.
Yeah.
15 quid a month. And I got Assassin's Creed with that. So it's good. really enjoying it lately.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been in terms of this year's not really been great for games. There's a few key examples, but this year hasn't really been great for games, and there's a kind of good reason for it. You know, apart from the whole global pandemic thing, which may or may not have had something to do with it. But clearly, the reason that the games are not very good this year, or there's not as many good games this year as there were in certain years. I don't know if you guys remember, like a few years back, there was one year where, like, every few days there was an awesome game released. Like, it was crazy. There was just this back to back to back to back, just series of games, just body blow after body blow to your bank account. And your bank account was there going, no more! I'm sorry! Please stop! This year it's been kind of, well, you know.
I think most years, though, are like that now.
Yeah, most years
Where,
is kind of.
like, I have to say, there's very few games that I get excited about. And that's been like that for a few years.
Yeah, definitely. It's the games are not coming as thick and fast. There's not as much experimentation with games either. Don't know if you guys have noticed it.
I think a lot of stories are lacking. Like,
I agree with that. There's nothing new.
Yeah, there's no real imagination anymore.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. There's a couple of games that have come out in the last decade that have like really kind of blown me away, like in terms of story, but for the most part, like.
Well, if you
take the story's not interesting,
if you take games that are from a literary background out of the equation, for instance, Witcher. Witcher had a good story because it came from a literary background, right? Cyberpunk, for all intents and purposes, is going to be pretty good, but that's because it comes from a well-established literary background and game background. You know,
it explains all the hype.
Yeah,
for sure.
And there's a lot of even Blue Dragon, you know, was from a anime background. You know, the story from the you know, from there. So a lot of games that don't come from a literary background that have good stories to them. There's been not as many. There's been a few key exceptions, but in the last 10 years, yeah, there's been. I mean, let's face it. How many times can Call of Duty tell you the same fucking story?
Well, like I have to say, I bought Modern Warfare, but I bought that because I was a big fan of Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Other than that, I hadn't bought any of the Call of Duties for quite a while. And then when I actually went and played Modern Warfare, I wasn't half as happy with it as I was expecting to be. Like, I haven't played that in months. And even before I stopped playing it, I'd only played it a handful of times. So
Yeah.
I essentially wasted 70 quid or whatever.
Yeah, that's the way I felt about pretty much most. The last good Modern Warfare story was their worst performing game that they've ever made, which was Infinite War.
Infinite War was a terrible game, I thought.
The multiplayer was utter trash. The zombies was utter trash. But the campaign itself was actually a decent campaign. Like, the story was decent. It wasn't a good story, but it was a decent story. It was basically the story from The Expanse. You know, Mars versus Earth. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know, but it was at least there was some thought went into the campaign, unlike Black Ops 4's campaign, which
Black Ops 4's campaign. Did I even play that?
Well, they didn't release one. There was no campaign. They didn't release it. They had one.
Same for 3 as well.
No, 3 had a campaign. But
Did it?
4, they literally they went, oh okay, well we did have a campaign idea, and they'd got all these preview videos if you watch the previous E3s for the campaign, and then when the game was released, there was no campaign.
That's a good way of stealing people's money.
Hmm.
Like every Call of Duty I've ever owned, I always finish the campaign before I'd play multiplayer. That was just my rule. I'd buy it on
Mhm.
release. I'd finish the campaign in 6 or 8 hours or whatever, and then I'd start gaming.
Hmm.
Like multiplayer, that's the way I did it every time I bought one.
Hmm. Yeah, we've got a
I
friend
feel
that
like
does the
that's what
same.
most people do.
Yeah, most people play
It's
through the
totally fair.
campaigns first.
Yeah.
And yeah, with Black Ops 4, they just went, we'll just not bother with the campaign.
Yeah,
Smart.
that's
You know.
that's sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you've advertised the campaign and then just didn't release it.
Hmm. But what can you do? It's Call of Duty. They're masters of smoke and mirrors. Oh, we've made the game. It's totally different this time. It's not. It's the same game. It's
Well,
the same game it's been for.
I think that's the same as people who buy FIFA.
Yeah. FIFA's.
Mhm.
Oh my God. I
How
mean,
many different games can you make about football?
yeah.
Right.
Oh, but
Like,
this time the crowd can chant different things. Oh, and we've changed the shirt to match this season's shirt. Okay.
yeah,
You know,
That's how I feel
FIFA,
too.
Madden, NFL, all of those. Like, really?
like I understand releasing sports games. I just don't think you should do it every year.
No.
Like, do it every 5 years or something, and try and fill the gap in with something that's actually
DLCs.
worth playing.
Yeah. Or just each instead of having a new game each year, have just a DLC.
So do a World of Warcraft on it. They
Yeah.
made the game in 2004 and have only released expansions every 2
Yeah.
years or whatever since.
Yeah. And why not? And they make a huge amount of money doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If
And
it ain't broke, why fix it?
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of model.
Yeah, but see, at least you know it's like you're not being conned into thinking you're buying a whole new game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just an expansion to what you've already been playing.
Yeah. The last FIFA game I played was the one that came free with my Xbox One. And I mean, they've released Xbox One.
The last one I would have played would have been probably 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And that was just in a friend's house.
Yeah.
I've never owned a FIFA game myself.
Yeah. The only reason I owned it was because it was a digital download that they gave free with the console.
That's the same reason I own Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
It came with my Xbox.
Yeah. I didn't want it. It was just there.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I've got it. I may as well install it and try
You
it.
didn't want it, but you shall have it anyway.
Yeah, Niddy got Minecraft with her Xbox.
So did Lily.
I got Minecraft and Forza Horizon 4. Now, to be fair, I like all the Forza games, so I was pretty happy with that.
Forza Horizon 4 was, for me, it's a good game, but it wasn't really anything more than Forza Horizon 3. It was just set in England.
Yeah, see, that's obviously with
Scotland.
the Horizon series anyway. That's the only difference is the location, really.
Yeah.
And the name of the festival. Like, they're the only two differences. You might just get slightly better graphics. The gameplay is pretty much the same the whole way through. And I'm fine with that.
But Forza aren't releasing a new game every year, you know.
Yeah. And if you want realistic, you buy Forza Motorsport. If you just want to drive around and have fun and do whatever, then you get Forza Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So they have something for both sides of the coin as well.
Mm. My biggest disappointment this year was back on the 360. There was a game released called Race Driver Grid.
Oh, Grid!
I fucking
Grid
loved.
2 was the best.
I actually preferred the first one. I liked the second one, but I preferred the first one. I
loved
was
the
the second fastest Koenigsegg driver in the world on that game. Like,
Great
I
game.
was, in terms of leaderboards, that was one of the few games that I actually chased the leaderboards on. I was literally the second fastest Koenigsegg driver in the world on that. I was really happy with that game. Loved that game. And this year they released a new one, Grid. And
Didn't they bring out Auto Sport after number 2?
yeah, they brought out they brought out Grid, then they did Grid Reloaded,
Yeah.
then they did Grid 2,
Yeah.
and then they've released this one this year, which was Grid. They just called it Grid. And can I make a recommendation? Don't buy it.
I just want to see.
I think it was this year. It might have been last year, but it's within the last. It might have been this year actually, because this year has lasted so long. It probably was the beginning of this year. It was absolutely fucking awful.
Right. So, where the hell is it?
It was just not a good game, and it was. Oh, I mean, I'm not a big racer. I'm not big into racing games, but damn, that one was just talk about crapping all over, historical. It'd be like if Persona 6 was, for Sassy specifically here, if Persona 6 was, you got it, and it was basically, it had got the veneer of a Persona game. You're going to be able to summon your personas, and then and actually it was Mario Kart. Like, you'd be like,
my persona is a bike.
yeah, I have to throw shells around the level.
Yeah, that would make like zero sense.
You did, and it was not a good
All right,
game.
guys, well, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta go fix Lily something to eat.
Oh, okie dokie.
Okay.
Thank
See
you for
ya.
dropping by, LT. We're gonna call it soon anyway. We're wrapping up
All
now.
right, guys.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for dropping by. Very
Y'all
much
have a
appreciate
nice
it.
night.
You too.
You too.
Pass on nothing to Lily.
All right, I'll let her know.
All right.
Eli.
Yes, sir.
Grid 2008. That was the first one.
Yeah.
Grid 2 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Grid Auto Sport, which is the last one I played, was 2014. And then, as you said, just Grid was 2019. But it doesn't have. Oh, there. October 2019.
Yeah, there you go.
But like after I played Auto Sport, I got a demo for it and I thought it was terrible, so I just gave up. I haven't played any of them since.
Yeah, well, Grid, just Grid. Jesus, that was a bad game. And the worst thing with that one for me was I bought the one that included the season pass, because you want to get the season pass when you buy a game these days. Because let's face it, when you buy a game, you don't get the game, you get a shell of the game, and then they sell you a season pass. Niddy was waving at Sassy, by the way.
I know. I was about to reach up and be like.
Yeah. But so I bought Grid and the season pass, thinking, it's Grid. I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. It's Grid. I used to love playing Grid. It's one of the best games I ever played in the 360. Really enjoyed that game. One of my favorites. And I got it. I was like, within 20 minutes of getting into the game, I'm like, this is awful. This is really, really bad. I wish I hadn't bought this. Maybe I just need to give it a moment and come back to it. I'll come back to it. And I've gone back to it a few times, and every time I've gone back to it, I've gone, this is really bad. Why did I buy this? This is terrible. This is the worst game I've ever played in my life. Like,
see, when that happens, it's so upsetting because you've been looking forward to it. You go and spend all this money, and then you sit down, you're really happy, and then it's just horse shit.
Yeah.
Such a waste.
It's
It
like,
kind of reminds me of the way that I felt about Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories when I was 11 years old,
mm,
because that's basically what it was.
yeah. It's like,
We're going to take this RPG or this beat 'em up game and turn it into a card game. Great idea. But it's Kingdom Hearts, so you love it, right? That's basically how it. Oh, and by the way, it was on a completely different platform.
oh
And that
joy.
too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Never played Kingdom Hearts.
I did. I did as a kid, and I thought it was pretty cool. I haven't touched it in years though. I wouldn't mind actually. Where was I looking? Oh, it's Game Pass on PC. You can get it.
Yeah, you can get all of the Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I was
Really?
looking at getting them a while ago, and then
That's
I
right.
decided against it.
That's another one that we used to love on the 360, a game called Defiance. And they released a new version of it that they said was, going to be basically Defiance remastered. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, you can fix the
That'll
bugs.
be good.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. And we got it, and it's not. It's shit.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's basically what happens when a developer has a really big Indian curry the night before from a really dodgy Indian place, and then goes into work, realizes they've been caught short to go to the toilet, so drops their trousers, squats over the keyboard, and just lets loose. And then it's like the manager comes around and says, right, we need this game done now. And they're like, ship it. And that's what they ship. It's like, thanks. You just, wow, great. Oh, I can even smell it through the mic. What the fuck have you done with this game? And Treon, if you're watching, because, we know you're watching. Just in every which way but loose. Incidentally, this show is not suitable for children. Yeah. But yeah, it's an awful lot. When games companies, this is why I pray. I'm praying to all of the gods, to all of the ancestors, to everyone anywhere who has any kind of influence over the fates. Don't screw up Cyberpunk.
See, that is a game that I've been debating on whether to get or not for quite a while. So far, the fact that they've let everybody down, 4 times now?
Well, I don't see it as letting them down. I don't mind when a game company says, this game's not ready, we're pushing it back.
Yeah, for initial release. Yeah, right, you're due in, say, September, but we're going to hold it back until probably December because we think we need a few more months.
Yeah, but they did the same with The Witcher, and look how well Witcher 3
they did
came
hold
out.
back. They held back The Witcher twice. Witcher 3, they held back that twice. They held back, and that game worked out fairly well.
They did.
Witcher 2, they held back once, and it should have been held back further because it wasn't the game it should have been.
But going back to Witcher 3, look how well the DLC Blood and Wine was received.
Yeah.
They're still talked about now.
The thing for me with Cyberpunk is that, as far as CD Projekt Red is concerned, this is a make or break game. If it doesn't do well, CD Projekt Red's done. No ifs, no ands, no buts.
I do think though, like this, it says here online it was originally due to be released on the 16th of April.
It was originally due to be released in 2019 in April.
Oh no, sorry, I read that wrong. Originally released in April 2016, Then it went to September 2017,
Yeah.
and then November 2019, and now 10th of December is the next release date.
Well, you know that they've reduced the price of the game by £10 in the UK as an apology. Yep, they've reduced the price.
I
They
actually
dropped the
want to
price.
have a look and see how much it is now here.
Yeah. It was originally $59.99 on the Xbox Store, and because they had to push it back and it wasn't ready for the November 10th, they said, well, we'll drop 10%. We'll drop a tenner off the price.
So on Steam, anyway, it's €60.
Right.
That's not terrible, really, when you think about how much a AAA game usually costs. It's what, 75 usually?
Yeah. Yeah, plus people were sending them death threats. Like, I'm sorry. This is not this is not a situation where you send death threats. Right. You know, if someone is threatening to murder your family, you send death threats. If someone is threatening to castrate you know, or your dog or your cat, you send death threats. If someone is threatening to delay the release of a game because they want to make sure that it's the best it could be, that's a case where you go, you know, it's like, oh darn.
Do you think you're going to get a full game, or do you think it's going to be like most other games where you end up having to buy season passes?
They've already said that they will not charge for their DLCs.
Well, that's a good start then.
Yeah, they've already said they're not going to charge for the DLCs. Thank you for the follow. Geniuses Million. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Shield Wall. They've already said they're not going to charge for the DLCs. They've already said that there's going to be no microtransactions. There's going to be no loot boxes in the game.
So how are they making money after the initial sale of games?
The same way musicians make their money. Merch.
Right, that kind of makes sense, but is it really, are that many people going to buy?
The special edition for Cyberpunk 2077 is £250.
Right. Okay.
And there was 1,000 of them available in the UK. They've all gone.
Yeah, no, I get, like, maybe your first few thousand you probably sell like the special editions with like the characters or whatever.
The game, you've got the initial sale of the games. They're expecting it to be the pre-orders for Cyberpunk are insane. Like,
well, to be fair, they managed to do NVIDIA 2080 Ti, I think it was, graphics card, a Cyberpunk one. There was very few. I think it was like 500, and they all sold for stupid money. They did a chair with Titan Labs, same thing, sold for stupid money. But these are all small numbers. When I say small numbers, I mean like 500 or 1,000 or whatever. I'd say once you've hit your first like 2,000 to 4,000 worth of sales, things would probably slow down quite a bit. Like, I'm a gamer and I don't buy any gaming merch, nothing. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that.
A lot of people don't. But Night Owl thinks that they heard that there was going to be in-game merch, like skins.
No, there I don't have a problem. Yeah. I think that's a good way of doing it because
Warframe, pay to look good.
Like, once it's not pay to win.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just buying skins because you want your character to look cool or you want it to look different or whatever, then I think, yeah, sure, go ahead, because you don't have to buy it for the game to be the way it is.
Hello,
so, yeah, I think doing that sort of thing is actually a good idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, as I say, I mean, Warframe specializes. They started that whole building their entire business model off the idea of pay to look good. You know, you can't pay to win in Warframe. You cannot buy the best guns in the game. You literally have to farm for them.
Well,
And
I
I'm
think
okay with
that's
that.
a good way of running your games. A lot
It's
of companies are happy.
yeah.
If you buy a pack, you'll get better,
Oh
whatever.
Christ, look at fucking EA. I mean, they're in the European court at the moment with
And rightly so.
yeah,
Rightly so.
they're basically selling. It's gambling. The entire
Yeah.
FIFA is gambling.
Was it France that banned loot boxes from
Yeah,
games because it was a form of gambling?
Denmark, Belgium, I believe Sweden has, and Norway has.
So most of the Scandinavian countries.
Most of the Scandinavian countries have. I believe Canada did to a certain extent, and Australia did, and New Zealand did. But they're making, and Germany have just brought one in as well. So it's EA are fighting them left, right, and center because let's face it, where do EA make their money? Loot boxes. It
Yeah.
sure as shit ain't on game sales. I mean, yeah, they sold a lot of copies of Anthem.
Yeah, and that was a massive letdown.
What? No, that game is totally AAA. Brilliant game. Well written. Fucking well executed. They didn't scrap the entire development of that game with 8 months to release and then release whatever they'd got.
EA are the kings of that, though, whether it's like DLCs, pay to win, all of that. That's not a company that you should be happy to support. Like, I just think that they really took the piss with it.
Oh yeah,
really took the piss with it.
And their argument that it's not a loot box, it's a surprise mechanic.
Yeah, that you have to pay for.
It's just like if you buy a pick and mix. No, it's
Can't be mad at what's inside of it.
yeah, it's a lucky dip. You know, it's just a lucky dip. Yeah. Edible loot boxes. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, but see, how many times do people pay for another box because they didn't get what they wanted?
Yeah.
Mainly kids that have their parents' credit card on file or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing for me is, specifically with FIFA, is that when you are a kid and you buy a lucky dip and you get something out of that lucky dip and you're like, I don't want this, I'm going to sell it for 15 quid to this guy who's desperate for this particular item. Oh shit, I've made loads of money doing that. I'm going to spend that 15 quid buying 15 quid's worth of 10p lucky dips and then sell all of these bits to people. And oh, I didn't make my money back on that lot. Oh, well, I better buy some more that time because I didn't get anything good out of that lot. I'll buy it. That's fucking gambling.
Yep.
That's fucking gambling right there. Fucking picture perfect fucking representation of gambling. EA, you scum sucking pieces of shit. If you want to sponsor this channel, we'll take your fucking money, but we won't lie. You're scum sucking pieces of shit.
My younger brother, he has always been a FIFA fan, always, and he lives at home, so he had no girlfriend for quite a long time. He had no bills, and he was working, so all his money was just his, basically. So he used to spend like 200 quid on a weekend on FIFA points because he doesn't do anything else. Like he like how much do you spend on a game? But that's a perfect example of somebody that's younger, that has more money than they need, and can spend it on whatever. Like he paid hundreds over the space of however long, just buying shit for a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think it's crazy that you can do that.
Well,
I got my food hand delivered to me. Holy
oh,
shit.
amazing hand delivered food. You'll have to go and give a
Big
Rockwire a
tip for
big hug.
Rock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we were younger, when me and Eddie were younger, we used to buy a new game about once, twice a week. And we had a big turnover of games. Like we'd try games, trade them in, buy another one, trade it in, buy another one, trade it in, buy another one. And that was where, I mean, we didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't take drugs. So all our money went on buying different games until we found games that we liked. We have since stopped buying new games because most of the games that come out are fucking awful.
Yep.
And we just, so a lot of our disposable income that we had for games has kind of gone to other things.
Yeah. Naturally.
Yeah, naturally. And I just can't imagine, like, especially with a game like fucking FIFA that's out for a year and then there's a new one and you've got to get the latest one because the last one's no longer fucking supported.
Yeah.
Like if you've spent 3,000 quid on FIFA 2020, you're fucked when FIFA 2021 comes out.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a perfect example of what he does.
Like,
and what's it called? Fork Knife.
Oh.
Same again. He used to buy all the skins and shit for it. What are they called? V-Bucks?
V-Bucks.
Yeah.
The bit that pissed me off with Fortnite more than anything else wasn't so much the buying the skins, because as you say, you're buying to look good. It doesn't affect gameplay.
Yeah. Yep.
In the PvE mode, the save the world mode,
yeah,
the only way you could get weapons that would enable you to play through the campaign was via loot boxes. Was via fucking llamas, right? Now, you take this for an example, right? The PvP mode, which is free, has no loot boxes. You just buy the skins that you want. Fair enough.
Yeah.
The mode that you had to pay $70 for, right, had loot llamas that you had to buy, and you have a random chance of getting something good.
See that? I don't understand the company's logic doing that backwards, basically. Like, that's pay to win, basically, in PvE.
Yeah, pay to win in PvE. But
like, if you want to make a shitload of money, put it in the online side of things. And for the person that spent 70 quid on the game that you're supposed to give them, let them get everything free.
Yeah.
Like, naturally, that's what happens in pretty much every game. In campaign, you don't have to spend money to play.
Yeah, well, in Fortnite's campaign, you had to spend money to complete the campaign because there was no way of completing the campaign. Like the guns you get at the start. Now, okay, you got a set number of free loot boxes, but that's like these fucking gambling websites that say, here's 10 euros, here's $10. We'll give you $10 to play on our slot machines. Okay, thank you for dropping by, Sassy. Very much appreciate it. Enjoy your food. Stuff your face. Stuff your face.
I'm starving.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay, have a good night, you guys.
Take care, Sassy.
Yeah.
All right, everyone else at home, we are going to go and raid someone. Because we've been at this for a little over 3 hours, 40 minutes ish, or a little under 3 hours, 40 minutes. So
it's bedtime.
Think it's bedtime for some people. It's game time for others. Thank you so much for everyone that dropped by. You guys are amazing. Please, if you haven't checked out Balasera, Nebc7, Divine Panda, Operator Death, Mr. Scottish Demon, LTS Gaming, Captain Shiver, Sassy Harmonics, Strange Little Tart, OG Ruckus, Rockwar, Link of Hyrule 565, Snow Angel, Des Does Gaming, Attitude, Night Owl. Please go check these people out. They are all awesome streamers. They are all fantastic people. We love each and every one of you guys. Until next time, take care, look after yourselves. Oh, and a Wendy love as well has just got here just as we're about to go and raid someone. No! We love you, Wendy. And also go and check out Wendy Love's YouTube channel. She is awesome and fantastic, and we love her very much. We do. She is ours. Yes, anytime, Neb. We're absolutely happy. Thank you to all of our panelists tonight. You guys have been amazing. And if you are watching the VOD or watching the YouTube version of this, thank you to Tia Kansara as well for dropping by. And thank you to our mod, the mostest with the hostest, Miss Crazy Bee Lady. But we're going to go and raid someone. And I think... Oh, thank you for the cheer, Def. Very much appreciate that. Yes, I'm sorry, Wendy. It's done. It's done. Yes, our special guest showed up early, so we had to go and say hello and get the road, get it going. Now, we're going to go and could you go in and have a look at Stewis? See what Stewis is up to. I think he's on Phasmophobia. But yes, we shall go and invade Stewis, give him a quick invasion, see how he's doing. Yes, that'll do. Go and invade Stewis. No, she's just waiting for the advert to finish because he's got an advert at the moment. Right, if you could join us in giving a big Cobblegroils to Stewis, give him the biggest shout and scare and boo that you possibly can. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Green Grape Sessions. There will be another Green Grape Sessions next week. Until then, and of course we will be streaming during the week as well. Until then, take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, and most importantly, be good. And if you can't be good, make sure that you've got an alibi. Till then, peace. And for everyone at home, thank you kindly for dropping in, and thank you for joining us on the Green Grape Podcast. Till next time, peace, guys.